So we are live and kicking. So let's make this screen a little bit bigger. Oh, I like the sunglasses, mate.
They were when I saw was it the Force Awakens 3D actually.
Are those the Kylo Ren visors? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I got some Stormtrooper ones, but I can't find them.
I don't know what I've done yet. I've gotten rid of the screen. Cancel that. All right, let's try again. Full screen. There you go. Okay, so welcome everybody. I don't know who we've got at the moment because I'm in full screen mode, but welcome everybody to the episode 2 of Cool Hang, Luke. So there's a bit of a play on words, but nobody's getting hung during this stream, so you ain't got to worry about that. But yeah, it's just play on words, cool hangout, sort of cool in the gang, bunch of guys chatting about Star Wars and Lego. So if you've popped in and you don't know what's going on, that's pretty much the gist of it. So we've called this episode, what we have here is a failure to go FPJ. And the reasons for that will become clearer. But essentially, one of the things we're going to discuss today is it worth going full price Jones? And what are the reasons people would do that, if any? So I guess we'll get to that in the fullness of time. And the reason for that topic, amongst others, is because I was having separate conversations with several different people. And essentially, a few people were just sort of saying, well, the discounts now are so reliable, or the chance of a discount is so reliable that it's almost not worth paying full price to start with. So the way they do it in America is slightly different over in the UK, but we'll discuss that as well. But before we do any of that, I just want to show, just want to do some shout outs. So who have we got? I was hoping for a few more questions in the chat. Don't seem to be any from what I can see, but we do have a shout out there for Cooper, aka Copper Kayak, one of the Girth gang, and very welcome here. Have a great stream. I'm not sure I'll be able to watch it live though, so not sure if you're with us, Cooper, but if you are, then welcome along, and if not, welcome to the replay. We've also got a shout out from Oaktown Bricks, another Girth gang alumni, and probably a good friend of mine on YouTube, and I did a stream with him during the 72 hour live. Should I say I joined him on his stream during the 72 hour live stream event, and had a thoroughly good time. So if you haven't already, go check that out on Oaktown Bricks as YouTube. It looks like he was in the free-play gang, so whether he's here or not now, I don't know. I'm having a real problem scrolling down with this laptop. So yeah, long story short, guys, we're a couple of minutes late, and my visual and audio might look a lot different to normal. Mainly, I think the background is reversed, unless I'm wrong. You can tell me it's wrong. But essentially, my phone decided to stop working for StreamYard last minute, and that's led me to have to try and use a laptop last minute and hustle to try and get everything connected to it and get it working. And it works okay, but I'm not familiar with it, and also it's a little bit laggy, a little bit slow. So I kind of press something, and what I do happens 10 minutes later. So, yeah, as per usual, hosting problems. So thanks so much for the shout out. You're welcome, Oaktown Bricks, and thanks for riding along with us. It seems we've got 3 people viewing. At the moment, I only know Oaktown, so if anybody else is viewing, let us know that you're there, and we'll obviously give you a shout out. But otherwise, sit back and enjoy. So, just want to introduce my guests and sort of co-hosts, if you like, because I don't think I've been doing this long enough to warrant having guests. But essentially, these guys are helping me to navigate my second episode a little bit better than probably my first, and probably fill in any gaps where I might have to kind of shoot out and do something else, or if I have technical difficulties. So to my left, as you guys are seeing it, Is that right? Yeah. We have Martin, aka Whittakee, with 2 T's. And do you know what? When you put that comment, 2 T's, please, in the original post I did, I thought you were making a request for 2 cups of tea.
Do you know what? I thought that, but I thought that again.
I was like, 2 T's, please. And I'm thinking, yeah, I was going to sort of comment back, milk, sugar, how do you take it? And then I thought, wait, no, I think you might mean his name. So if you've noticed, I did actually update it. And then when I reposted it today, I accidentally reposted the old version instead of the new version. So that was kind of a waste of time. But at least one of the versions I posted did have 2 T's. So hopefully you saw that at least. But apologies.
Well, I was going to say, at least I made it this week.
Yeah, at least you made it on. At least you're not just a topic of conversation for 90% of the, the stream, which happened to be the case last time. But yeah, I mean, watching it back, because I do always watch it back to try and give myself some feedback, if you like. But I did watch it back, and I found myself explaining the situation with you probably about 30 times. And the sad thing is that this time we had the opportunity to give you a test beforehand, and then I had issues. So it is what it is. But I do appreciate you.
We made it in the end.
Yeah, we're live, we're kicking, and we're gonna probably make it up as we go along, which always seems to work for me. So my other co-host, if you like, is none other than what do you prefer to be called? Would you prefer to be called Slurpee?
Yeah, just keep it a Slurpee for now. It's just it's kind of odd because on all the other socials, it's my real name. but
you happy for me to say what your real name is, or?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, my real name's Matthew. On basically Matthew McGuigan is my full name, but I kind of just go by Slurpee as like the unofficial moniker. Been going by it for years on Lego and non-Lego websites, and
can we ask why?
So whenever I used to do a lot of stop motions when I was a kid, and it was quite common for people to make studio names, and it must have been back in 2012, I decided I'd call my YouTube channel Slurping Animations, and I was like, it's too long, I'll just call myself Slurpee, and it's kind of been it since. Like, so if you ever go on to Bricklink or a random car website and you see a user called Slurpee, there's a chance that might be me.
Right, there you go. Okay, so I'll keep a lookout for that then, Slurpee.
Because when
I think of Slurpee, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
It's nothing to do with Lego. It's to do with tea, slurping cups of tea and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Well, I always think about like there's an American version of a slushie out in America, at least.
Yeah,
it's called a Slurpee. So I always think of that. So just going into
Slurpee cups.
Say again.
We have like wee Slurpee cups and stuff like that too. Is that not what they call the wee baby cups?
Oh, no, sippy cups we call them. I think.
All right, enough.
Possibly it's different over in where you are.
Yeah, over in Ireland, but.
Are you Northern or?
Yeah, Northern Ireland, but some people are like, yeah, it's like whatever's handiest for people to say. But yeah, I live in Northern Ireland.
So, I got family in Southern, so yeah, I recognise the accents.
Yeah.
It's not too harsh, no.
No. I was going to say actually, it's between like England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. All different.
Yeah, we just need a Scotsman.
Nah.
No comment.
Well managed. Okay, so look, obviously Martin goes by Whittakee, and which makes sense because his surname is Whittaker. So that's kind of pretty straightforward.
Well,
so he's currently rocking.
There's a story behind that.
Oh, okay. Go.
I used to play Halo, and I used to go around a mate's house, and there'd be about 8-10 of us. And every time I came in and walked in, they go, "It's the Whittakee key." So that was it. Good stuff.
See, I just assumed you couldn't get Whittaker. It wasn't available, so you just added the double the set last but one letter.
Well, that's what they used to call me. I used to walk in and they go, "It's the Whittakee key," and so I used it.
Okay. Well, my nickname is kind of self-given, to be honest, because I'm a huge fan. I've mentioned this before, so I won't hark on it too much. But I'm a huge Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke fan, i.e. the movie and the actor. And I just thought, from what I'd seen in the kind of Lego community while I was kind of just watching and not participating, I feel like the best thing, there seemed to be a really good representation of mashups. So where you kind of mash up Star Wars and Lego or Star Wars. So I just try to find ways to, incorporate that into my kind of social media where I can, just to kind of, and not only that, but it started with Instagram really. And it started with YouTube, and I always wanted that to keep it separate from my normal. So I don't have any friends, family, anybody who knows me by my real name on social media at the moment, or YouTube, because it's just strictly for Lego and the Lego community. But and none of them happen to sort of participate in that as it happens. Hence why I'm here as well, to be honest, because I haven't got anybody in real life who I could discuss this with. So I have to make do with doing it virtually. But so that's my story. So I want you guys, if anybody is out there watching, whether it be on replay or live, head over to Matthew. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Matthew McGuigan.
Yeah, that's it. Matthew McGuigan.
Matthew McGuigan on YouTube, and the same on Instagram. Give them, and Whittakee on Instagram. Are you on YouTube at all, Martin?
Yes, I am.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I know actually.
I've done a couple of videos, but yeah.
You have, yes. Yeah. Sorry. For a second, I was like, wait, am I sending people nowhere? So same with Whittakee. I think it's Whittakee 68, is it?
Yes.
On Instagram and on YouTube, and give those guys a follow, a like, and a sub, and hopefully you guys keep you guys entertained over the next over the foreseen future. So we got Martin Whittakee is obviously rocking the Boxer Boys t-shirt, so thank you very much for honouring us with that appearance. And Slurpee is currently rocking the black cowl.
That's This is, well, I'm hoping everyone knows who this is, but this is Emperor Palpatine from the 2006 Lego Star Wars game. One of my first ever Lego games as a kid. So.
That's right. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but it's I think it's still my profile photo on Instagram, and I'm just gonna keep it. Because on my Instagram, I kind of will post. There's my own private life on there, but I'll just also post if I've got a short film out or Lego memes on the stories. I don't really. I like to kind of. That's part of my identity too. Which is, it's took many years to kind of maybe get that out there. Not that it needs to be out, but I don't know.
Well, while we're on the subject of that, and for anybody watching at home who was interested at all in stop motion animation, and not specifically Star Wars or Lego, but including Star Wars and Lego, definitely. Slurpee is a budding stop motion animator, so stay tuned, and we hopefully, provided we can get to work, we've got a little preview of one of his videos, which is actually Lego based. And I've seen a couple of your videos, and if I remember rightly, that is at least the most recent one is a Star Wars based one. And yeah, so obviously, for anybody who knows anything about stop motion animations, there's a lot of work that goes into these things. So we are going to show one a little bit later on. So stick with us and hopefully give you guys a reason to stay tuned in case you're getting fed up of our monotone voices. So just a quick shout out to Crimson Toaster. Sorry, mate, I did see you pop up while we were in the middle of a conversation. Crimson Toaster is one of the guys I shared a stream with on Oaktown Bricks, his 72-hour stream. And he's popped in to say, well. Hopefully he's still there. And shout out to you, mate. Again, head over to him on YouTube and on Instagram and give those guys a follow. So we've got a couple of topics of conversation that I want to go through today. I did initially the plan was initially to have them lined up as a banner, and I'll show you in a second. So a banner is going to look like this, for anybody who doesn't know. And so I had some of these lined up and ready, but of course, I lost them because my phone wasn't playing ball. So I've had to kind of start again. And like an idiot, I didn't write any of them down. So I'm just going to try and remember. So the first one is going to be, do it, so make it up as we go along. Full price FPJ. The first one is FPJ. And for anybody who doesn't know what FPJ is and isn't a follower of ACOB or a couple of brickheads, shout out to those guys over there. It means a full price Jones. And it is a kind of some guy who kind of pops up on their streams from time to time and makes an appearance. And I won't go into too much detail. You have to head over to the AGOB streams to find out who FPJ is and what he's all about. But long story short is he only ever pays full price for his sets. So when we use the term FPJ, and if you hear it referred to, we basically mean paying full price for a set, in most cases on release day. So for the sake of this conversation, FPJ is release day price. So first and foremost, I think I'll just ask the rest of the room, or we'll bat it around the table. Did any of you guys pick up anything on August the 1st? Start with Martin.
Yes, well, it was I pre-ordered it, and because I wouldn't normally, but obviously I pre-ordered it when it was double points.
Right.
And I finished making it today.
I was going to ask, do you have it ready?
Oh, nice.
Great. Okay. So we'll
I was
ask
quite surprised, actually, what a good build it was.
I was really going to say. Okay, go ahead.
Really did enjoy it. Yeah, great build and stuff. Obviously, it is a bit small, but there's lots of detail and lots of and I actually quite enjoy it actually. And I haven't got one anyway, so. But yeah, apart from it being a bit too short, it's a good 9 out of 10 for me.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay, well, we will briefly discuss it in the set itself in a second, but I want to carry on with this overall topic. So, Slurpy, did you pick anything up on August 1st?
No, absolutely no. There is one set that I do want to get for the culture and meme, and that's Jedi Bob Starfighter, and I do plan on getting it within the next week or so. But I very rarely go FPJ on really any Lego set. I think I'm a bit of a see what those Amazon deals or Tesco club card prices bring instead. But I'll not lie, like this wave, I think it's one of the strongest like Lego Star Wars waves I've seen in years. For me personally, and like seeing the Star Destroyer from Whittakee there, like I was very tempted to go like get it on day one, but I'm thinking like, no, just wait. You don't know. But it's quite hard because like I don't think I'll pick up the whole wave, but it was definitely a temptation. I think I'll get Jedi Bob Starfighter, I think maybe next week at Argos. Although you have to reserve it locally, by the way, and you can't even reserve it for that day. You have to reserve it, and then you can pick it up in a few days' time. But but maybe it's just like maybe you could talk about this as well. But
you said Argos, didn't you? Yeah, that's typical for Argos, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, I don't often see an Argos anymore, so I completely forgot.
Yeah.
But that's because I had to go down the shop anyway.
So 2 sets you went full price Jones on then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one had double points. So.
Right. Okay. So look, this is what the questionable part is about full price Jones, because if you've got an opportunity to get a discount, and I think this is where the comparison to the States, the US, our brothers over in the US, can be made, because they do have a lot of kind of loyalty program type things over there. So that would essentially mean they're not paying full price because they're getting something back, whether it be cash back, calls, cash back, and things like that.
A lot of clearance. You don't see the clearance over this.
Yeah, well, that's another topic altogether because I'm going to get onto that. But yeah, I think if you're in a situation like yourself, Martin, where you've got it on a discount or you've got something back or a GWP, yes, it's still full price Jones, but you've got something back for your money, and I think to me that's me personally, that's the only exception to the rule. But again, unless we're using points and vouchers, or there is a GWP like May the 4th or May the 1st, we don't get much more than that. Whereas in America, there seems to be everywhere has some kind of promotional thing.
Yeah, cashback and stuff too. Like
that's it. Yeah, cashback. I think it's
I-
Coles Cash and a few others.
I don't think we get any of that too. Like I see some of those guys on YouTube say we spent full price on Lego.com using Rakuten or something like that, and you get
That's
5% back. And it's like I've tried searching and I can't see anything, at least on our end.
I'm in a UK Rakuten. I get cash back.
Does it work?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, that's okay. So, hey, for anybody
But
else,
only online though, not if you go down the shop.
Oh, right.
Oh, so it's order. So is it through another seller, or is it Rakuten the actual supplier as well?
It's Rakuten. Yeah, you go onto Rakuten and then you literally go on the Lego thing where you put in your and then you go into Rakuten, and then you click on the Lego, takes you to the store, and then whatever you buy, I've got cash back on it.
Okay.
What percentage, if you don't mind? Because it's like I hear it sometimes varies, but
I'm not too sure. I mean, it says sometimes up to 6%. I know I got something like £12.50 back or something like that.
Oh wow!
And I got another £7.50 pending, waiting.
But I need to look into this.
Yeah,
full price Jones might be worth it.
Absolutely. So this is obviously the point of this conversation. The other thing I wanted to discuss, really, when I talk about sort of our comparisons to the US, is that, and look, I'm no financial advisor, and you'd have to be the Rain Man to be able to kind of work out the intricacies of how the systems work, and you'd also have to be someone who avidly buys in both countries or multiple countries, which is impossible. So, but the general basis of it is, from what I've gathered, and obviously spending some time in the States making purchases over there, is that we don't get clearance sales and things like that because they advertise it slightly differently. The Americans put their prices at a higher price initially than us on generally, and they reduce it more aggressively.
Yeah.
So what that means is that they kind of there's a in the UK they have a set price, and the reductions for most retailers are based on how well the set is selling or how close it is to being retired, for example, those kind of things. In the USA, they don't do that. So from the day a set is released, they've already got planned out their first markdown, the second markdown, their third markdown, and that changes for each supplier. For each retailer. So they've got an aggressive tactic in place to hit those day one people, those full price Jones people, those people who want the set really badly but aren't happy to pay, and it works for most things, I think, over there. But Lego in particular, I've noticed. And the other thing to bear in mind as well that a lot of people don't take into account is when you're seeing the set prices in the US. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that a set is $30 in the US, and that would be £25. If they get it reduced to £20, which may be more closer to sort of 16, 17 for us, and we don't see it at that price. However, they do add VAT on top, which, I know a lot of people know that. I know that's not like a new information for most people.
Yeah. No, I only just found out recently, to be honest, because what we pay, whatever it said, but they says it's $30. They don't have to pay tax amount on top of it, where we just pay the £30.
Absolutely. And nobody ever mentions that, because to them that's still, like, when I visited America, we'd work it out and we'd be like, right, that's $28, but the price tag was $25. So we've kind of done our own math. To us, it's $28, but you'll always hear people saying, "Oh, it's $25." So they don't, in their mind, they don't add it, and the reason they don't is because it's the same right across the country. It's only when they're comparing it to places like the UK that they're like, oh, so. you have to take that into consideration as well. And I think that between the promotions they have with and Tesco, Club Card Prices, Amazon, I think if you were really to compare the prices that we have, say the lowest price a set could go or will go over its lifetime compared to the lowest price in any other country, I think it's going to be roughly the same. So although we don't have those sales and those reductions, which is true, we don't pay more for our sets overall.
Yeah.
Certainly not from what I've seen and the little bit of data I've kind of gathered over years. So there is that. And I think there's a lot of people I've seen saying, wow, we don't have those kind of deals in the UK. And that's right. We don't have those kind of deals, but that's not to say we don't essentially pay the same price. So that's just something I wanted to kind of get out there, because I do feel like a lot of people think that, in their eyes, if I could go over to the USA and buy a load of sets and bring them back, no, it don't work like that. And obviously, when you take into account the fact that you've got to travel over there as well, then you've just completely blown it out of the water. But the difference is not even measurable, I don't think.
It's just that's definitely when it comes to the US. Like, I've been fortunate to go over myself, but I remember it must have been back in. Yeah, actually, that's a lie. I remember I've gone full price Jones a few times, and it was the ATST Hofwalker. And I remember when I got it in California, it was like, oh yes, this is cheaper than it is than the UK, but they have tax in certain regions of the States, and I was like, oh, I paid the same, like maybe even a little more. And it's just those, I know, it's not hidden. They know about those taxes, but like, you think you're getting a deal, and then it's like, I don't know.
And then you've got to take into account exchange rates as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, doesn't it differ as well from each state?
Yeah. And counties inside each states as well.
Yeah.
Like some of them have higher, lower, and it's ridiculous. Like, but that's their culture.
Yeah, and the prices across the country will vary for that reason.
Yeah.
And whereas here, if I go to Tesco and pick up a set for £22 that was reduced from 30, let's say, for argument's sake, then I can tell anybody within the UK to go to their Tesco, and 99% of the time they're going to find the exact same price. So there's consistency in this country, which you can't put a price on that. But again, going back to what you just said about being in California and picking up that set, when you take into account, the amount, or what do you call it, the conversion rate as well, and things like that, and that in some cases the cost of conversion, that all kind of throws into the mix as well. So just briefly stop a second. I want to catch up with chat. So Oaktown and Crimson are having a bit of a conversation between themselves, which is fantastic to see. It's nice to know that we're at the position where our viewers are actually talking with each other. It shows you've got more than two. So those guys obviously having a bit of a catch-up, great. And Nimble Saucepan has entered the building. So anybody who doesn't know Nimble Saucepan, again, I'll give him a shout out. Thanks for joining us. Head over to saying hello, lads. Sorry, I'm late. You're not late for anything, mate. You come when you want to come. You leave when you want to leave. And I appreciate you even popping in. But Nimble Saucepan, the man with a bluestone, head over to his YouTube. Check out his bluestone. If you're a medieval, he does Star Wars as well, but if you're a medieval kind of guy, or castle sets kind of guy, head over to there and you'll find yourself some very interesting content. And the same over on Instagram. And you'll also notice, you guys may notice, I'm not sure if you can even see the chat where you are, but Nimble is classed as a moderator. So I've upgraded him to moderator. So in case you didn't know, Nimble, you're a moderator, and you two guys are as well. I forgot to mention that before. I don't actually know what that consists of.
All I know is that I was a spanner.
Yeah. So you can tighten things up a bit, but you'll be tightening all day on this stream because it's so loose. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I appreciate the mod upgrade. No problem, mate. No, look, obviously, I haven't asked any. I know a couple of people did ask. I can't remember who, or offered to sort of help out with moderating, and I moderate on a couple of different streams myself. And I'm totally honest with you, I don't actually know what it entails because I haven't seen any. I haven't been able to see anything that I can actually do. So at present, that's still kind of work in progress. And if you guys aren't comfortable with that, then let me know. I can obviously take you back off. So back to topic. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to say, I wanted to represent The Last Jedi today.
Bold choice.
Bold choice. Because we briefly mentioned it when we were talking in the UK Boys chat, private chat. So anybody who's watching on replay or live, shout out to the UK Boys affiliated. And all of us here are UK Boys affiliates. And yeah, I mentioned a set that I picked up around about the time this came out, and I remembered I had a T-shirt, so I pulled it out. So yeah, quick segue there. So yeah, back into the conversation. And while we're having the conversation, Nimble, have you picked up any sets for August the 1st? But yeah, guys. So you both mentioned. What do you call? I was going to call him Sideshow Bob then, not Sideshow Bob, Jedi Bob.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. That was the set for me, the main set. I won't be paying full price Jones for it because specifically for me, it'll just be added to a pile of other, and I don't even want to say how many, other unbuilt sets, which kind of seems silly for me. So, but yeah, was that Jedi Bob there then? You popped up.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is going to be minor, but what do you guys think about the? I've seen some comments online about Bob, like they're annoyed that they've weathered his face and torso, but I personally like it. Like the Benny figure, I can understand why some people are annoyed, but yeah, I actually really like it, as well as the double-sided expression. And they can't make him exactly the same too. Lego has discontinued the original Bob colors, and they don't make chrome hilts, but. No, I think it's really cool. I even like the Akbar Trooper from that set. I think it's just goofy. Like it just takes me back to like that old era of just wacky Star Wars. And
but also we don't know what the show. That could be quite a big character in the show. We don't know. There's a lot of people have been moaning about it. I'm like, well, got to see the show first.
Yeah, and I got upset. Well, not upset. That's a bit too much. But I got a bit annoyed when people were saying like, "Oh, another stupid gonk droid." But I don't know. Gonk droids are kind of they're important to the Lego mythos. I think.
I think I would have preferred an R2 unit, but I don't mind gonks.
But yeah, no. I do think I'll get that soon. But I just like the colors of it. No.
Yeah. It was the only set that tempted me, but
well, like I said, I was down the shop because I took one of the little lads from work, and I thought, well, I can't be in the Lego shop and not buying anything. So,
well, I actually kind of lied when I said I didn't pick up anything up on August 1st, because although I didn't actually pick up anything on August the 1st in terms of August the 1st wave, I did pop by the Lego store. I tell a lie, I think it was the 31st of July, but anyway, around about that time, and I picked up a Luke Skywalker keyring, and I hopefully don't need to explain why.
Yeah.
Was it the Snowspeeder pilot or the X-Wing pilot?
X-Wing.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm talking? Do you understand why though?
Because of the arms and legs.
Sorry, guys, I can hear me chewing. So yeah, I picked that up. I mean, obviously, I'm not one of these. Oh, I've got to have the figure, and this gives me the opportunity not to have to buy the UCS because that wouldn't happen anyway. But I did think it was quite a cool idea, and for the little cost, then I didn't see why not.
Well, it's going to take a while, but I am aiming to get the X-Wing UCS, so yeah, but it'll take a while.
Okay, so the only other thing I would briefly want to talk about, just because it came up within that conversation, is the Star Destroyer. I'm going to briefly, while you guys are chatting away here, see if I can find a picture of the entire wave of August 1st sets. But I really want Nimble Saucepan saying I really want the skiff, but waiting for a sale. And with that one, I think the wait is going to be slightly longer.
Needs a
to
deep
get to the
seal
price
on
point.
that.
But yeah, sorry, he mentioned about the weathering, and sorry, I was chewing while you were discussing that, and I think to me that was kind of a bit like very Deadpool, if you know what I mean, in terms of it was a kind of fourth wall break, not really a fourth wall break, but the fact that they weathered it to sort of reference the fact that they're actually Lego and that he's a figure that's been around, and because he's been around for a while, most Lego faces tend to kind of get a bit scuffed and marked up. So it's almost like a sort of subtle nod to itself, if that makes sense. So I thought them doing that was amazing, because it just kind of it was just a kind of a kind of tongue-in-cheek reference, if you like. But yeah, real nod to the OG, absolutely. That's exactly I think what they were going for, and they pleased the fans by doing that. But as always, some of the fans, especially within Star Wars communities, are never happy. So, but so. Man, do you want to talk briefly about the set that you did pick up, since you're the only person who did actually pick something up physically? So how does it compare to other versions, I guess?
What, of the Star Wars for it?
Yeah, because I know you haven't. You said you don't have any other.
No, that's the only one I have, so I can't really.
But in terms of selling it to us.
Well, like I said, I really enjoyed the build. There's a couple of play features in it and stuff, but like I said, the only thing I will say, like everyone else says, it's just a little bit short. But I would recommend it. It's I thoroughly enjoyed making it, and obviously you get him, Cal Kestis, that thing.
Are you collecting those figures as well?
Yes, yes, I am. One of them I might just buy the figure off of Britlink because I'm not buying that set. The droids one.
Yes.
But yeah. I mean, I've just taken the thing off, but yeah. So I've got some old 20 anniversaries in there until I fill the space out.
Yeah, and I have been watching your. Is it weekly, monthly updates?
Oh, monthly.
Yeah, is it monthly update?
Well, my monthly box of boys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
box of Mandos this month.
When Mandos, that's right. Yeah, and what are the previous iterations that you've done?
I've had box of droids. I actually, because I got the two things from ACOB, so I had a box of boys.
Right. Yeah.
Then there was a box of girls, and then the box of boys original. Yeah, that's it at the moment. But I'm already planned to at least Christmas which ones I'm putting in.
You've already till Christmas?
Sorry?
What did you say you've done till Christmas? Sorry?
I've got planned each month now what I'm going to put in till Christmas.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, but yeah, if you're talking about the set then, yeah. I do like the hidden handle. I don't normally worry about handles, but and a bit like you might have seen the video with the Lord of the Rings. By opening up the doors. Same with this. Look, I could do this all day.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just like I said, it's it looks really nice. It's very, very highly detailed. But without repeating myself, it's just should be about a bit longer. Yeah, probably like that. Maybe 6, 8.
Because the thing sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I overspoke you starting something else. So the thing I noticed about it is that although it was smaller and downscaled, it was downscaled to the point where the detail in outside and inside was a lot better.
Yes, yeah.
Which is hats off to Lego's abilities and how they've come along over the years, because for him to make a smaller model of something, but have a more kind of not fleshed out, but a more intricate interior and exterior. And the thing is, for me, when it comes to sets like that, there's no way you'd be able to get that minifigure scale or even close to that. So it was always going to be, to me, it's always going to be scaled down for the figure anyway.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not saying the size doesn't matter. Obviously, the bigger the better. But when it comes to a play scale set like that, I think they could get it, like with an X-Wing, for example, if they scale that down to the point where the minifigure is kind of, far too big in comparison, then that's more noticeable than if you put a figure in a Star Destroyer who is already far too big, even at the biggest version. If that makes sense. So they I feel like they could get away with it a bit better there.
One of them they designed where they had the figures actually in the bridge, didn't they?
The two. I actually have a photo of the 2006 one, and it's both of them side by side, and it's. I remember wanting that one back in the day, but yeah, you could fit I think 2 or 3 figures in the bridge. Yeah. But it's. I don't know. I just prefer the look of the new
in the gaps and things as well this time round, and also what Jang said as well. It's very durable.
It's definitely one that I think that was one of the first ones that was revealed or leaked. It must have been back in May, wasn't it? When they I think revealed or leaked it, and
I think so. It was quite early.
I do want to get it though, but I'm definitely awaiting maybe a Smith's Toys discount, which may or may not happen. But I think it looks good, but.
I did make a mistake because I did order it. I think I wrote this on the thing, but I ordered it on the 2 times because I thought, oh yeah, good. But I didn't realise that Star Wars it wasn't counted.
Oh really?
Yeah, but I didn't know that, so I actually sent an email to Lego, the customer services, said that why didn't I get my double points? They sent back saying because Star Wars was it wasn't counted, but so to stop my confusion, they gave me the points anyway. So
happy days.
Yeah, they are pretty good customer service, I must admit.
I think it's one of the best. I don't know, just looking at that there, it's oh yeah, the figures are pretty. They are pretty big looking compared to it, but I think it just I maybe it's a bit controversial, but I like the downscaling of a lot of the sets. I did get a lot of criticism, but the 2021 X-Wing I think is perfect. I just the size of it, it's not too big or clunky, and they had that great the X foils. It used to be for years they used rubber bands, but they made something so small, tight, and compact that works well. And as Whittakee pointed out too, and you could see it in the image, it's all smoothed off where that handle's at, and
yeah.
But I was, as usual, hoping for I don't think the 2014 one either. I don't have any of them, but yeah, I was hoping this one you would be able to fit a figure in the bridge, but yeah, you can't. Unless you lie them down.
I mean, as you can see, yeah, it's not too bad. You can get the figures in.
Give me a sec. Let me full screen you, Martin, if I can work out how to do it. There you go.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, so there's is that 4 sections there?
Sorry, elements. Yeah, you got 1, 2. Well, and then 3, 4. I suppose.
That's to me. That's a lot, really. I mean, again, we're not necessarily the target demographic for this. So speaking to it in terms of a variety of people from, I guess, the age of 5 or 6 up into our age, then I think it does hit the mark because there's a nice variety of figures. There's a collector's one there for people who are collecting. The detail on the outside of the set is there. So if you would display, like myself, I would display the set without the figures or the figures inside so you wouldn't see them. And I think it looks good. It's almost to the point where it kind of fits in with the ship. What do you call it? The Venator. What am I saying? The ship builds. What are they called?
The MIDI skills.
the MIDI scales. It's kind of
right.
almost there. Looking at that,
I want-
with the figures next to it.
I wonder what
So
it'll
for me,
be
I
like
think it looks
compared
great.
to there's the Acclimator or Venator coming out next year in MIDI scale, and I would like to see how those two compare. But no, I think it's I don't know. I do want it. It's another grey ship for my Star Wars collection, but
Yeah.
it actually looks somewhat roomy too, as Martin.
It's better than
talked
just
about there.
another tan castle, though, isn't it? So.
No, that's right. So let's have a quick look at the chat. The Battle on Peridia, Nimble is saying the Battle on Peridia is also a must-buy. That's the fig lineup. It's quality. 100% agree.
I'm waiting for a big sale on that one. Sorry.
I'll just pat up the build.
It's
to
a
be honest.
slap.
Yeah, I think he's on the same. I know your sort of thoughts on that, Martin, because I know you kind of shared that it was a bit of a kind of pointless slab. A little bit like that Kenobi set that came out.
This one. People moan about this one. I'm sorry. It's not. It's better than just the slab that we're getting.
See, now I'm on the opposite side of the fence essentially, because although it is essentially just a grey slab, I do like what it represents, and I like the detail they've put into it, and the fact that they've put those kind of large stickers in, and it's a set that didn't really need to be made, but for the same reason.
I think if they were printed, people would probably like it a bit more. I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that argument we could probably have all day, but.
There's good functionality with that Obi-Wan one as well as the Peridia one. Like I see that it's like I'm too old for playsets, but I like playsets too. Like as opposed to no more of the
quite a lot of
display or
them are
dioramas, but
quite nice to display as well, like that.
Yeah.
Like the Star Destroyer. But the thing is, with the Period set, it's like some people don't display their figures, do they? So what? It'd just be a great slab.
yeah.
But it's funny, I'm just looking around now, because obviously they say Star Wars, grey ships. I've hardly got any grey.
Really?
TIE Fighters, and what's his Din Djarin ship, Razor Crest.
Yeah.
But the rest are like red, burgundy, white, grey, yellow. Is that yellow? Well, mustard colour. Oh, tan, I think. Yeah. So quite a lot of the ships I have are actually not grey.
God, must have been grey Clone Wars ships all my life.
That's it. I'm more OTC, so I don't have many clip stuff.
I tend to. I actually only have a few on display. The only Star Wars sets I have on display now are the 2020 AT-AT, the 2019 Slave 1, and the UCS Landspeeder. And I wanted the UCS Landspeeder's again. I went FPJ on it, but I was so pleased that I remember everyone moaned about it, but I was like, finally a colorful UCS set. And I've always liked the Landspeeder. I've always found it such a cool design.
One of my favourite sets, and it's not grey, but it's all black. It's this one, the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And I know the show didn't go down that well, but saying that, I really enjoyed it.
Cool, Han. I don't think I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry guys. Did you get some YouTube audio just then?
I didn't hear. No, I could only hear Martin.
That's fine. I clicked on a picture of the Battle on Peridia set while I was chewing, and you guys were talking, and it ended up. I didn't realize it wasn't actually a picture; it was a YouTube video. So it started playing. So yeah. But if you didn't hear, that's fine. I'm just trying to find. I've got a really great picture someone's put up of all the August 1st sets, but it just happens to be a YouTube video, so you can't actually use the picture, so that's pointless. Let's just try that instead. Yeah, sorry. So I think, to sum up Battle of Peridia, almost the opposite of the last set we talked about, in that, it's about the figures in this one. And like you said, if taking the figures away, the set is kind of pointless. But the figures in that are absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, I've got to agree with that. I mean, the figures are really good.
But
for someone who likes to build sets, I'm just a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, no, that's a really fair point. And I think, taking into account all of the demographic, I think this one actually probably works less well than the, arguably, I think it works less, because obviously for people who like the figures and want to collect the figures, spot on. But for people, kids who want to play with it, for people who like something to display, I think it goes a lot further down the list. So why can't I just get stock images of something? Why is everything a YouTube video? Oh, this is a good one. This shows 2 sets. Okay. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm just trying to find a decent picture that I can share. It's a stream ad. Let's have a look at that one. Okay, there we go. Can we see that? Right. Okay, good. There we go. So that's the best picture I could find that's got more than one set on. So let's move on to the Desert Skiff. Now, what I'll say about the skiff is, although you get some clear pieces to make that skiff kind of rise up above the ground, and we all know that this is a set that's designed purely to accompany the Jabba sail badge. The price aside, okay, so regardless of how much this was, I'm disappointed by the way they did it, because I just feel like the way they view it on the screen, or on the box, should I say, actually looks pretty good, because you got the skiff up here, the pit is down here, but of course all of this sort of piece in the center between the skiff and the actual pit itself is kind of box art. Yeah, and you haven't got that. So essentially, I mean, I think I saw somebody review it, and you put the skiff next to it, and Luke to fall into the mouth of the creature would have to literally jump up in the air, and it just now again. Flips. Exactly. I mean, it was a definite fall, and I don't know how they do that. And the previous versions of this have been a lot worse. With the same arguments. But I just think this again goes back to Battle of Peridia, where I guess even Battle of Peridia, if you had displayed it with the figs, it's a bit boring to look at, essentially. But the fact that the figs are great hold it. Whereas this one, the figs aren't amazing, and on display it would look crap, because I mean, how would you display it to make it look like the pit is how it is? I think when you add the sail badge into that, it's just going to look.
I've got the original, and I don't know if you want to see how I display it.
If you're able to do it.
Yeah.
It's just I'm looking at it, and it's like at least on the brick set image of the skiff, it's a 2x2 cylinder piece, and it's held up by 3 of them.
Can you see it? Because I can't see it. It's like an old computer desk, so I've got it.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So where did you? I can see the skiff. Sorry.
I pulled the bottom bit, so it's like so it looks like it's quite a way for him to jump down. Let's see if I can pull it. Right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's like, yeah, but this is the original.
I mean, if they were on the same platform, he'd effectively, have to get a ladder to get into the mouth.
Yes, yeah, because I saw Joe do a video of it, and I thought it was quite funny.
I mean, because it's obviously, it kind of falls in to a pit, I guess, essentially. It does make it a bit. Don't want that. I'll tell you about that. It does make
what would have been great?
Go on.
What would have been great if they had where you could put Boba Fett in, and if there was like a tube where he'd gone in and come out the other side.
Yeah, I know.
So
There's do any of you guys watch any of the Star Wars Robot Chicken skits?
A long time ago, but I would not that I'd remember.
Yeah, long time.
There's one where, like, obviously there's so many, but like Boba Fett, he's inside the Sarlacc pit, and it's a giant bloody meat room. Like, I'm waiting for that set. Like, no, I don't know. Like, this is £70. The skiff, 558 pieces. Like, I don't know. It's
yeah, and I feel like a lot of those pieces.
A lot of this weight seems to be quite expensive, actually. I think.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the. I really like the skiff from the reviews I've seen, but I know the Sarlacc pit is in the middle of a desert in a kind of bowl or basin, but I don't like the way it's designed. I think it's a little too messy for me.
Agreed. And that was my issue. The skiff looks fine. I think it's got a couple of play features on it. There's not much to the interior of that skiff anyway in real life, because if you look at it, it's kind of like a hollowed out, boat, if you like. So weren't expecting like control panels and greebling and all sorts. I like the fact that they used that kind of like the drunken man kind of hat from Ninjago or whatever it is for the D10 on the outside of the skiff.
Yeah.
You got the board, you've got the springboard, if you like, or the plank. You've got like a part that comes away and falls as Lando falls off it. Great. Perfect. Don't think I expected any more than that. But yeah, I think most of the pieces have gone into building the surrounding to make it feel like a pit. The problem is to do that, you have to then build up, which then creates like a mound. So it's almost like it's a mound. Whereas the thing for me that was kind of imposing about it when I watched the film, when I was kind of 4 or 5 or whatever it was, the thing that was kind of scary about it, I mean, there was no beak back then. It was just a kind of hole with teeth. Yeah. But for me, it was that feeling of kind of almost not quicksand, but just falling into something that once you start falling, there's no way out. It's almost like falling off the edge of a cliff slowly. Like there's nothing to grab onto. So it wasn't so much what you were falling into as the way, the imposing part of it, or the scary part of it for me, was the fact that it's once you're on that slope, you're going in. There's no reversing it. And obviously they added bits so this beak would come up and pull people off the side or whatever, which I actually thought that did work quite well in terms of the adjustments they made to the special edition. But it doesn't change the fact that it was still a kind of a pit you're falling into. I mean, if you're walking along the outside of that thing, there's no danger whatsoever. As soon as you start falling into it, you had it, kind of thing. And that was what I thought was great about the idea. But that just they haven't been able to portray that in Lego ever since. So
it's a hard. I don't think. Yeah, I agree. Like even the 2006 skiff, Jabba Seal Barge, was quite like. I think it's even more rudimentary. Like it's just a beak. Like, and yeah, it doesn't. It's hard to replicate too, because I'm looking at the set here and it's protruding quite a bit out of the ground. But yourself, it's below level. Like it's quite hard to visualize, and I don't know. I've seen so many mocks of what people do of the Jundland wastes and whatnot too. Like, but yeah, like that there, like it should be sitting low. Obviously, Lego aren't going to do that. I wouldn't want them to either, because I think that would be it'd be far too much. But
Hmm.
and I'll give them
But
this. So I do like,
like
what the features, like you can move the tentacles on it as well. Albeit they don't move.
yeah.
They're not like individually moving. I think they're paired up, but it's a nice wee feature they've added.
Yeah, but what annoys me is that they've added this. If you see this, I don't know if you can see my cursor on the screen, but this kind of sand to the box art.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not represented in the Lego, so I mean, like that, it looks fine. But obviously, and I don't know how they do it, so I'm not it's not necessarily a complaint because I have no idea how they'd even ever do that. But it just, I don't know. For me, it's almost like that should have probably the pit and a couple of figures should have been more fleshed out, more accurate, and a separate set altogether. And I think people would have probably paid for both.
Because I was really wondering where they're going to put the. I'm assuming they'll not do it now, but I was hoping that they would do maybe some sort of detailed Sarlacc pit with the UCS sail barge.
Yeah.
But then whenever I heard about this, I thought, no, they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Or even if they just, like I said, if they just done the pit on its own with a couple of bad guys to go into it, and a few more tentacles or whatever, and then a separate skiff or maybe two skiffs, because we know there's an additional one out there somewhere. But the other gripe I've got with this, while we're on the subject of the skiff, there's not a single bad guy on the skiff.
Yeah, where's the weak way?
Who's throwing Luke off? I mean, they could just ride that thing into the sunset. There's no danger there whatsoever.
Unpopular opinion, but I don't think they should have had Nian Num in it. I think we should. Yeah, I think we should have got like a generic skiff guard or someone like that.
Yeah, no, agreed. Look, I'll come back to this in a second. It brings up quite a good point that I was just about to make. But for me, that is the only figure that kind of is close to the representation of that set, because Nian Num appears in the scenes shortly after this, because they kind of fly away from Tatooine. They head to space, and then do they then have the meeting? I can't remember, but he's the only one who's got a link to that set, i.e., he's in the same movie. But apart from that, all the others were unlinked. But I don't think that's something that we ever expected, and it was probably impossible to do because we know what was coming out. But yeah, so. But to take us back to the original question, I think that one of the reasons FPJ could have been warranted this time around was those figures. I don't think there's ever going to be an availability issue on Lego anymore. Not like there has been in the past. I mean, we've had a few things in the past, but that's not the case anymore. So the only time FPJ, well, the argument for FPJ for some people would have been, availability of the set. And I don't think that's ever an issue.
No, unless you're in Australia.
Well, yeah, exactly. So
that's a different can of worms.
Yeah, but even since their last issue, I don't think they've had another one.
Yeah, I think it was actually more to do with the battle pack, the 504.
Yeah, I think that was quite set specific, and obviously it just happened to be a set that was kind of so many people wanted to build, like they'd have multiples of. So that was a bit of an unusual situation, more I could gather. But aside from that, I don't think it happened. So, but again, I think them putting those figures into the sets was a driving factor for some people.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree.
I honestly don't. I think they're producing more of these sets and certainly these figures than they ever have before. So I don't think there is the exclusivity. Sorry, not the exclusivity, but the rarity of a set just doesn't really exist anymore. And that's another reason why Full Price Jones to me is a bit of a bust. It's kind of no reason for it. What do you guys think? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Like it's like I remember. I was actually in the United States whenever it was June 1st, and I remember all the posts online about people saying I can't get Captain Rex's Y-Wing, and it's like because it was sold out or whatever on Lego.com or back order. But I'm just like, give it a week, it's going to be back again. Lego knows there's more people in the hobby now than there was, decades ago. Like I'm thinking even back in the day, not to jump, but like. I've heard of stories of the classic Cloud City from like 2002 or 3, Like
Mm.
Lego was popular back then, but that was supposedly on discount quite heavily.
Yeah.
Like we're I don't think we're anywhere near those days. And
No.
I don't think they made as many sets too back then. Like, definitely not.
No.
But like, and I'm seeing people too with this, at least in the American side, like, oh, I couldn't get a Dark Falcon, it's on back order. I'm like, just give it a while. Like, it's going to pop up again. Like, they're not going to do. The only time I can think of that, at least in the last 15 years, was the 2007 Millennium Falcon UCS. I think was numbered. I think an original wave of it. I don't know if it was 5 or 10,000, but that was, I think, scrapped. I remember M&R talking about it. Like, there was like a collector sticker on it, but I don't think they've done any numbered sets or limited releases like as a main wave anymore that I can think of.
No, you're right. And obviously, without going into the conversation about Rex too much detail because it's been covered to death, I think exclusivity around Star Wars and Lego is kind of gone as well, because there was a time where, there'd be a May the 4th figure available.
Yeah.
And then there was only so many of them, and then you couldn't get them. I mean, that's not even the case with the May the 4th sets anymore, or the GWP, should I say, because they make so many of them. They're so readily available. They're available for a long time after the initial launch date, and then the majority of people who've picked them up didn't really want them, or I kind of picked them up by accident, or may have had them after the fact, are then selling them on the secondary market, and not even for a particularly massive price. So don't get me wrong, if you tried to get the Droid Battle Pack GWP in 3 years' time, you might be finding a hefty price on it. But I think within a reasonable time frame, you can get it. And one of the thing M&R always said is that, when people talk about exclusivity and availability of a product, it's so subjective, because everything is available as long as you want to pay the right price. So, and while we're on the subject of sets and large quantities of sets, we've got Muttley who's joined the chat. For anybody who doesn't know, this guy is like the ultimate backlog guy.
Oh yeah.
So I think pretty much for every set that's ever been released, he's bought 8. I mean, I thought I had a bit of a backlog, and I don't collect more than one of a set generally, 99% of the time. But this guy's got, this guy's got enough to literally start
restock the entire country.
Absolutely. And some old sets as well, because the oldest boxed set I've got, sealed set I've got, is probably about 5 or 6 years old. But this guy's got some from like 10, 15 years ago. So
back when I was a kid, like that's like I'm looking at like some old single-digit Star Wars years, and I'm thinking, oh, it was making me jealous when I seen those photos. But that's not impressive.
But I mean, it does bring me on to the next subject, which of course we kind of touched on briefly. But what reason do people have to buy a set on day one? And I know you said, Slurpee, about just wait. We can't just wait. I mean, we've all probably been victim to that. I know that I've got to be there May the 1st, but again, I'll do it because there's a GWP, and I'm more concerned about those GWPs selling out or not being able to get to them, and in some cases not being able to get back to the Lego store again before they probably sell out, even if that's a week, 2 weeks. And it's an event for me because I do celebrate that time of year. I tend to have May the 4th off work, and I have a kind of bit of a thing, and then so they're my reasons. But if I didn't get there on May the 1st and I missed those sets, it wouldn't kill me. But I don't get the reason why people have to have it on day one. Yeah, if they're going to go home and they're going to build it, great. But if that's the case, they can buy any set, any day.
I mean, I've only ever shown we don't have any Lego stores in Northern Ireland. There's one built recently in Dublin and somewhere else down south as well. But I've only ever shown up day one to the Lego store, and that was, as I mentioned it, when I was in California, the ATST Walker. And the only reason I wanted to go was this might be one of the few times I'm here on a day one release. And there's a vibe around it too. And also it was a set I wanted, but I don't think I would ever really go out of my way. Like, I need to get it day one, unless the UCS Landspeeder, there was a GWP, there's some extra points. But even at that, like even this year's GWPs and stuff like that, I wasn't particularly like I need to go and buy day one the Interceptor, even though I didn't really. I have my own opinions about that set, but like
No.
it's an incentive. For a lot of people, day one buy is that exclusive add-on as well, those points. But and then maybe some people have the fear of missing out because if we're all in this Lego community, how many people put up their release day purchases that day, the day after, and it's like, oh, that could have been me, but
No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I think because I was struggling to think of reasons why anyone would need to, aside from just being like obsessed and having to have it, which we, like I said, we all feel that from time to time. But aside from that, I couldn't think of a genuine reason. But you're right, and that for those people who've got a bit of FOMO and so embroiled in the Lego community and seeing other people, it's that seeing it but not being able to, and also an anti-spoiler as well, because I don't like looking at a review of a set until I've built it, because they talk about everything about it which you want to discover for yourself. So I don't really look at Lego reviews as much as I do other content around Lego, but yeah, you're right. I think there's that feeling of, oh, I want to be able to say I've got it, and I think that just comes with experience and time, because I probably would have fallen into that category a few years ago, but now I'm like, I know I will have it, and certainly that was an issue for me. Not an issue, but that was certainly the way I felt when I was buying sets, taking them home, building them within a short space of time, and then waiting for the next round of sets to take them out. Whereas now I'm so backlogged that I haven't built last May the first set, so the year before's, and that's not a flex. That's not me kind of showing off, because I don't probably buy any more than anybody else in general. It's just that because I was in the process of moving house over the course of about 2 years, all told, I just didn't see the point. So anytime I had to do Lego, I was taking sets apart or anything, and I haven't got to the point yet where I've set my Lego room up. But the time will come, and eventually I'll be up to date, and then I'll probably get that FOMO again. So yeah, it's a really good point.
Fair play to you, because as soon as I buy a set, I want to make it.
Well, Martin, you went day one, didn't you, on the Star Destroyer?
Yeah, that's because I pre-ordered it about 2 months ago. And like I said, because I got the double points. But I don't normally. The only time I do is like double points or like May the 4th. That's always I buy the new. Sometimes I buy some older sets just to get that GWP. But if there's a new set that I really want, I will get it on that day. But normally, no. I mean, I don't know, Sturpy, if you have Smith's toys in your... but they're always full up. If you can't find an Lego store, they'll be at Smith's. There's a list. And they normally like knock 20% off after a few weeks or so. Yeah. For example, the day before that Jedi box that came out, it was actually in Sainsbury's, and I almost got it. And I thought, well, I might as well wait till tomorrow and get the points because it's the same price. So yeah, but normally I wait myself. But yeah, I was going to say the two main things are probably is that people want the GWP points, and if they've got just absolutely loads of money and they don't care.
No, you're right. That probably sums it up. If I'm honest, if there's an incentive, or if there's a reduction in price, they're the two main drivers for me for any set, any time of year.
I will say there is one set I did actually buy, full price Jones on the day, and it's not even Star Wars, and it cost me 400 quid.
Oh, was that Barad-dûr?
Yeah, Barad-dûr. Couldn't help it.
Okay, so.
Plus, I had bonus for work too. I was like, right.
Yeah, so I think it's important to note to our viewers and anybody watching on replay that full price Jones and day one buy are two slightly different things, because a full price Jones is paying full price, even if the set's been out for a year.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't do that.
Day one buy is buying it the day it comes out. And there isn't much of a difference in terms of this conversation, because obviously, we're essentially talking about both in this conversation specifically. But I think when it comes to Lord of the Rings, because their sets are currently few and far between, and essentially their sets are now kind of UCS style only.
Yeah.
They are play sets because there are play features in them. They're not purely for display, but the majority of it is to display because of the intricacy and the size of the build. No 6, 7, 8-year-old is buying that to play with. We know that.
Yeah.
But they make it play scale, I think, because when you're building something that big, for it to just be display only, it might be a bit boring. So you'd have to kind of flesh out the interior just because, if your grandmother comes around and wants to see it, you can turn around and go, oh, actually, look at all the contents. But again, essentially, the shell of the thing is probably a lot less. It's the only thing that's on display. And I think, Lego Star Wars does that as well. But I think when it comes to day one buy or full price Jones or both, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I think it's. Oh, I don't want to be the person that says it's acceptable.
I did have. I've got Rivendell as well, so that's probably why I went and got it.
Yeah, this is what I say because I think it's more of a niche, if you like. Because for me, the biggest argument is around how many sets I've already got, how much I've already spent, how much am I going to be spending the rest of the year, what am I actually going to do with them? Are they going to just go on display? Are they going to go in my? There's a lot of questions involved, even for the person who builds straight away. Is it worth it? With the Lord of the Rings, you kind of get one set a year, and despite what you might spend on other Lego themes, it's almost like a collector's club. You belong to there. So I think it's a whole different kettle of fish. And certainly a good reason to go FPJ and not only that, but the prices of those won't come down by huge margins in short spaces of time anyway. So no, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that is certainly an exception to the rule just when it comes to Lego.
Yeah, that Rivendell set is like whenever I heard that they were releasing that, I was like, oh please, can we get some more waves of Lord of the Rings because it was so short lived in 2012 and 2013. But that's like a perfect that's a set that looks like a mock to me.
Bye, Nimble. Thanks for tuning in, mate.
Oh, see you later.
Bye, Nimble.
Sorry, go on. Go ahead.
But the Rivendell set looks like a mock. Like it doesn't look like a Lego set to me. Like it's like, damn, this is like a great build. Like who built this? Lego.
I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, but that is my favorite set. Rivendell
it just looks so good, and it just looks elegant, and I love the way they've done the rips. I was like, oh my god!
But you can also take the figures out. Where they sit down in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually put the Jedi Council in there as well.
Crossover.
Yeah, you should have to. That's some content. You got some content ideas there, mate.
Oh, that one's coming. Don't worry.
Will it fit inside your box, boys? You can have a box of council members.
Oh, box of rings is coming. Don't worry.
Box of rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Box of Barad-durs.
It's not just going to be all just Star Wars. There's a few others.
No, I like it. Good. Keep a lookout, guys. The random box of contents from Martin on Instagram and YouTube is coming. So Mattley's made a good point here. Sometimes it will work out cheaper to just buy the GWP and wait for a discount on the set. Loads of the droid carrier on eBay still for around 30 quid. 100%. I agree, but it's difficult for me to have a casting vote on something like that because that is my only reason for going D1B and or full price Jones. Because for me, it's about, a lot of people say about buying Jedi Bob's Starfighter for the nostalgia or whatever. For me, as I've already said, go into the Lego store for me the first, and the kind of fanfare of it and the feeling that I've got around those sets and buying it. That's what, for me, that's good enough reason for me to pay, full price. And in some cases, I haven't done that anyway on the day one buy sets. I know that those sets are still going to be available in months, years to come. I know that the GWPs will be available for quite a few days. But to me, it's more of a fanfare. So that's my exception to the rule. So
I will say,
what's that?
So I don't need any more coins.
But just on that saying, even if I
have
knew
to pay to get rid of them.
Yeah. I think you might
I've
get.
given
Yeah.
a couple away, actually, to be honest.
Well, you never know. You could have them signed when we go to Brickworld next year. Get them signed, and then they might fetch a higher price.
Ooh, when you said we, does that mean you're going?
I meant we collected.
Worth a try.
Well, look, we will briefly talk about Brickworld because there is a little bit of kind of news in that realm. But I just want to kind of finish this off, unless you guys got anything else to say about Full Price Jones. We are going to talk about some of the other August 1st sets, but
I just want to bring
sorry.
up. I haven't seen Lego do this with Star Wars GWPs, but I've seen them do this before where there's a GWP available, say, in February, and then in the summer they may re-release that GWP again. They did it with that, like, was it the Blacktron set from 2023? The space set. They did it for like a short period of time, and then was it not like re-released again? And people got upset. Like
they did it with one of the Disney ones as well.
Yeah, I can't see them doing it with Star Wars, but
and now they've just done it with the space one, haven't they?
Yeah, they did it again with the space one. The Space Babies or something like that, isn't it?
50-50. Some people, some people are annoyed, others not.
Like, I think the only GWP I've ever wanted re-released was back in 2021. They had the Lego Adidas shoebox, man. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but
Shoebox Man.
Yeah, it was like we like Lego guy with So Lego does like a torso piece that's like a 3x2 stud, like a 3x2 brick with like the arms and legs, and it's quite a goofy looking Lego set. I'll see if I can send you a link.
That was my first GWP set, if you can see it.
Wait a second, let me full screen you. Ah, yes.
Great.
Mind saying that, I started collecting Lego afterwards, so I actually had to buy this separately.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I've only started collecting since like 2021.
So that is
obviously it doesn't come with loose. Yeah, I just stuck you. That's the older loop. That is an old.
Yeah, the
2010 one looks like.
Sorry.
No, the Amperu. We got no songs on this.
No, I like that one as well. That song.
What did you say that Adidas thing was called? Adidas Shoe Man.
Yeah, I sent you a link in the private there of what it looks like. It's the Adidas original Superstar. I don't know. I've always wanted that.
Did that come with a shoe?
Yeah, it came with a small shoe. But I think at the time that this was Lego released like a full size Adidas shoe, but I don't think the Adidas shoe fit the threshold for the WP. But I remember going to the Lego store in London, and they had reams and reams of this GWP, and I was like, you know what? I'll just ask, can I buy it? Because like they're just sitting there, like hundreds of them. And, like everyone, but no, they're just like, nope, we can't sell it. But is Whittakee gone?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be back with us shortly. But in the meantime, yeah, this is what you're talking about. So I can't remember. Trying to see that a little bit clearer myself. Ah, right, okay. Because when you said about Adidas, I automatically went to the shoes. You know, where we had the Adidas. Was it a pair or just a single shoe? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was just one shoe.
I can't remember actually now that I think about it, but that's what I was thinking of. So, yeah,
I think it might have been one shoe.
So what was your? I can't remember what the reason you brought this up was. What were we talking about?
Oh, just because like Lego has a real tendency to re-release GWPs, and this was one I at the time wish they did re-release. Because I went into the Lego store in London at the time, and they just had so many of these on store. like hundreds of them, and I was like, yeah, can I buy it? Like, I'll give you a tenner. But
Yeah, like I've
No.
honestly never seen this in my life.
No.
But it's not something I'd ever buy anyway, to be honest with you. So,
I'm back.
there
Am
we
I
go,
back?
you're back.
Yeah.
you're
Sorry. Yeah. I was trying to be clever. I'm no good at technology.
Join the club, mate. Join the club. Okay.
Oh, that. Oh, that's what. Yeah.
It's an unusual looking thing, isn't it?
I like the little stereo. The little
Yeah,
boombox.
I've seen that piece. I've seen before in various colours.
just that torso on the minifigure, I've always liked that, like, unusual box design.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull this back up a second, because this is the only picture I could seem to find that has the all of the sets, apart from the ones being talked about. Because I don't want to go into too much detail about the August 1st sets, although we did say we're going to discuss them. But I think it was more to sort of highlight them briefly and talk about, would this be a day one buy, even though that day has passed? And now we're in the position of, would it be an FPJ for you? Because I think that's more relevant to this time, because they would still be full price so shortly afterwards. Hence the topic of conversation being that, not the other. But Muttley's made a good point. It is nice to support a set from a theme based on something you want to see succeed. So I guess it could be talking about anything there, but in terms of Lord of the Rings, he's hit the nail on the head, because the more people are buying those sets, the more likely they are to continue doing more, and then maybe branch out into some smaller sets. Whereas with Star Wars, we know they're churning them out regardless. We've had more sets released this year, or planned to be released this year, than ever before, from what I can gather. So yeah, it's interesting. King Oldendorf, how we doing, mate? Nice to see you in here. I noticed the last couple of times you've jumped on a stream, you've just I'm not quite sure what that's in reference to, but
You must kneel.
you do get props for being the OG Girth Gang member from ACOB, but I don't actually know who the first member of this stream is, if I'm totally honest with you guys. So that nobody's ever going to get that title for my channel. So yeah, okay. So let me just make this a little bit bigger for myself. Fill the screen. Okay, so we've talked about Battle Peridia. We've talked about Star Destroyer. Not going to talk about the Advent calendar, because that's not actually August the 1st, is it? That's not released, is it?
I hope.
No,
September 1st.
September, is it? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, September. So what's left? I know the Dark Falcon is there twice, but what's left, I think, is the Mumbo Jumbo mix and match, whatever you call it.
Droids.
Then you got, and then the same with the droids. So you got the ugly ships, the ugly droids, C-3PO, and the Dark Falcon. So just a quick sort of spin around the room for what's left there. I know Jedi Bob's not there, but we have kind of discussed that briefly. So from what's left there that we haven't discussed, is there anything there you guys would go, day one buy is gone, so anything there you would go FPJ on?
Well, it all depends if I got the money.
Yeah, so
But
if we were millionaires, yeah, they'd already be in the collection.
I've kind of got three categories, like buy first day, we'll definitely get when they sell, and no thank you.
Yeah.
And which one are we doing? Which set?
Well, I just wanted to do, out of what's left, so we've got the X-Wing TIE Fighter, the Dark Falcon, C-3PO, and the droids. Out of those, is there anything you go FPJ on? And just group it how you just said you would group it. So
maybe C-3PO. The Dark Falcon is a definite, but a sell, and wait for a sell for that one. Same with the Skiff, and the same with this, because it's not here. Is it the Onyx Cinder?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. As the and the TIE Fighter, an X-Wing, and the droids one, no thank you. That's it.
And I'd probably agree. And to use your sort of your very almost perfect system, wouldn't buy the X-Wing TIE Fighter, wouldn't buy the droids, will buy the C-3PO, but not for myself because that's not something I would normally collect. However, it will pair up nicely with my fiance's R2-D2.
I've got the R2-D2, so yeah.
Yeah, I think
they're not stupid, are they? I wasn't going to get the R2-D2, but...
Well, I think the pairing of those will be great, and I will buy that. I won't pay full price for it. It depends. If it hasn't gone down in price by Christmas, I might have to. But yeah, sale for Black Falcon and sale for whatever else, the Onyx Cinder possibly. Depending on what the show's like, because if it becomes irrelevant, then the show's crap.
I have to say though, without obviously seeing, no one's seen anything yet. The show, I do think the ship looks quite good. As spaceships go, I think it looks quite nice.
It does look good. I won't disagree with you there. And obviously, really for me, it should be about how the set looks because I've talked about that in the past. But I just think that if the show is good, it might gear me to. It'll push me towards buying it more. Yeah, I think it will add an incentive, whether I admit it or not.
Because the set that I really like, that I had, and I didn't particularly like the prequel films, to be honest with you. Sorry, sequels, not prequels. Sorry, but Poe Dameron's X-Wing, I actually love.
Yeah, 100%. A black X-Wing. I mean, they could have put any other color in there with black, and they would have gone down.
And also that I can't remember the proper name of it, but the one that looks a bit like an AT-AT, but like a gorilla. It's got like big.
The ATM.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. What the set does kind of overpower slightly, but my biggest issue is the one I'd least likely to ever purchase is the droids.
Yeah.
And however, because I am collecting the anniversary figures, I will be purchasing it.
I am slightly surprised that they didn't put a better one in it for it, because that doesn't still make me want to go and buy it. Yeah. I think if it had Liam Numb in it or something, I'll be like, ooh, yeah, I'm gonna have to get that. But
speaking of which set is KTQT in?
That's the Stormtroopers and Rebels set. It's only a leaked image. It's like a £40 battle pack, I think.
Yes, I'm getting confused. Because is it KT or is it QT? There's two different.
Right. Okay.
I think it's QT because in the show there only is really one R2 unit, and that's R2-D2. So when I think it came to the show, they renamed R2-KT to QT-KT, and there's a bit of a redesign too. She's all pink.
Yeah.
Whereas
I think the charity original version was like R2 but recolored, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's R2-KT, wasn't it? That's
R2-KT, and it's like I've been a member of that sort of charity community for a long time, probably almost as long as I've been back into Star Wars Lego. But I don't want to go into too much detail here because it might not be relevant to everybody. But the long story short is that I believe the guy who created the 501st Squadron, Albin Johnson, it was dedicated to his daughter. So they created this character. And after years and years of campaigning with this character, which is essentially R2-D2 with pink instead of blue, it was in memory of his daughter, named after his daughter, Katie. So they eventually kind of got recognized for their work to the point where they were appearing in a lot of Star Wars kind of celebrities of conventions, things like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually the two appearances, most recent appearances, where it kind of made her canon, if you like, were in The Force Awakens, possibly some of the other sequel sets where she kind of appears in the background, and also in the Star Wars Lego Skywalker Saga game.
I think the Clone Wars as well.
Yes. Now, this is where the
version, isn't it?
Yeah. So apparently that version in Clone Wars was created, but at the time, I think there's something to do with don't I don't know the details, so I'm not going to pretend I know, but it's something along the lines of at the time where they did Clone Wars, because if you remember when Clone Wars first came out, it wasn't sort of registered as canon. So so some of the things they did, and I think it was something to do with, I don't know the details, like I said, but it's something to do with rights. So they weren't able to use that character specifically for whatever reason, and they used a version of it instead. So it kind of still gave a subtle nod to that character without using the character correct, like, as she appeared. And then when it was registered as canon later on, I guess both characters became separate characters. So
yeah.
But for the same ultimate reason. So I was really frustrated and disappointed that they released the QT version as opposed to the R2KT version, purely because, you know, it should look like its form, and also because it appears in the Lego Skywalker Saga game.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? So there's obviously
you've answered my question yet. I thought
it's not a license. It can't be a licensing issue if it already appears in the Star Wars license. So I don't get that personally, and I was a bit frustrated about that. But and the more frustrating part was the fact that they're putting that figure in a set that, you know, I was probably the most likely to buy out of all of the others, especially after seeing the droids. So I have got the collector's box, and for anybody else in the Girth Gang there who knows about the ACOB's case that was released to put all these sets in, all these figures in, they are working on something at the moment to try and put an additional piece. So you can kind of order, or they're going to send out an additional piece that goes in. So if it fits the the seventh figure.
They did say the other day that they're going to wait now to the end of the year in case they bring out another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's the argument about Darth Maul as well. So, because effectively he makes 8.
I don't think I count Darth Maul.
No, I wouldn't either,
personally.
but I probably still will get him. But
he's more like the older ones, isn't he? Because he's got it on his back, like the 20th.
Yeah. It's like a throwback to the 20th anniversary, but a throwback to. It's strange. I like it, but when it didn't come up at display stand, I knew it's not part of that lineup.
Yeah, that is strange. It kind of makes me wonder what they've been thinking. And to just kind of round it off, I guess we were kind of releasing these 25th anniversary figures. I can't help but feel that they used that as an excuse to increase the price of some of the sets, i.e. the skiff, and they knew how much everybody wanted in the end, and they put that price up, I think, for that reason. And also a set that I think, I mean, they're not creating sets that they know people don't want, but this droid set, I think the fact that it's got a figure in it is going to carry the sales.
Yeah.
My concern is it's going to carry the sales through. And then they're going to think, oh, this inflated the figures, and they're going to think that we want something like that more often.
I think a figure with a C-3PO like they did with R2-D2 would be better.
I thought they should have put Nien Nunb in the C-3PO.
Yeah,
I just didn't want Nien Nunb in the skiff. I wanted a weak way or a guard instead, but
I mean, I will eventually get the skiff, but it's going to wait for sale because I've got one anyway, and I won't be buying the barge full price yet.
Same.
I don't think I'll ever get the barge, but I can't wait to see how it looks. So,
I'm definitely going to get it, but just not. I'll get Chicago out of the way first.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I was just about to ask. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! Just looking at the rest of these, and I say, I do think the August wave is really strong. Maybe I say that that's like the droids and the TIE Fighter X-wing. You know, they could be seen as duds, but personally, the only set I'm gonna go full price on will be Jedi Bob because it's the most affordable one.
Yeah, that's why I got it. I think.
Yeah. I know that might go for it might drop down £5 on Amazon maybe in the next few months or whatever. But as for I do want to get the Star Destroyer and C-3PO, but I know they're going to drop a little bit. I don't know if you guys use it, but there's a website called Idealo, and I just log in my Lego sets that I want, drop 10-20% down what my ideal price is, and I'll get email alerts. And I've done that for some of these sets anyway, and you may never get an alert. They may never drop, but
Oh, that's interesting. I've
Well, it's
never
worth it. Worth a try, isn't it? It's worth. Yeah, like you said about how strong this wave is. Well, definitely compared to January's.
Yeah,
What do we have?
decent good
Two
January
sets.
weeks.
Mine was a +4.
I mean, it used to be that we used to get just two waves, January and June, July, like August. I can't remember what month it was in summer, but each wave had like 10-ish sets. But it feels like the January Lego's literally done dry January with Star Wars. Like, here's a battle pack and a microfighter. Like, what?
Yeah.
But
And I think the reason for that is because any sets that they wanted, they were going to make good money on. They would have pushed sooner.
Well, originally the Onyx Cinder was supposed to come out as well, wasn't it, in January?
Yeah.
When is it releasing?
It was part of the August 1st wave, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it?
And they've got a release date now, haven't they? It's December. It's actually coming out.
The show, you mean? Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you meant
sorry. Yeah, the set is out now to buy, but yeah, the show's coming in December, unless it gets put back again.
Yeah, well, stranger things have happened. But Oaktown has put a request in for us to talk about the Onyx Cinder, and I didn't really want to talk too much about sets because not only is every other YouTuber out there doing that at the moment, so it's kind of desaturated, but I've also talked about it briefly in some of the others. And because I don't own the sets, I feel kind of out of place talking about them any more than I would have when I saw the pictures, because at the moment that's all I've got still. It's just pictures. But what I will say about the Onyx Cinder is, in terms of a fleshed out, big, juicy ship, I think it's for me, it's better than the Black Falcon for that sort of same scale and price size, because it's something different. Yes,
I was going to say, at least it's different.
Yeah, I mean, a Black Falcon is different, obviously very different conceptually, but it's still a Falcon at the end of the day. And
most people have said it's basically the same build, just a bit different interior.
Well, and again, if you're one of these people who displays sets like myself, then it doesn't really matter what it's like. It's what it looks like, finished product, and I do think it looks fetching. But for me, it's just it's more unknown. The Onyx Cinder is more unknown, and both of those sets sales, I think, will base heavily on how good the respective shows are.
But Stranger Things looking Star Wars show.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be, hopefully a gateway to more of the same kind of thing. But my sort of brief thoughts on the Onyx Cinder aren't different to what they were when I first saw the pictures, which is that I think that the fact that they've made it so the inside is kind of accessible and it's quite big and it's quite girthy, I think makes it great for everybody. So. But chat, anybody left in the chat? Did you pick up anything August 1st? I know Oaktown, you've done your own little video on what you picked up. So go and check that out over on YouTube if you haven't already, guys. But Oaktown Bricks, yeah, he's... anybody else, in the chat who's picked up anything August 1st or Full Price Jones since August 1st, let us know. Medley won't be bothered with the Thai X-Wing or X-Thai Wing or whatever you want to say it. Falcon is a bit meh to me. We'll probably get Bob Starfighter. Yeah, seems to be quite resounding around Bob Starfighter.
Yeah, it's just a cool.
But like you said as well, it's quite easily accessible because it's not that dear. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I mean, price is a big thing with a lot of sets as well. So. Well,
definitely. I don't like to be given too much criticism. I think I did talk about this on your stream last week, but I don't think they should have had the Chewbacca from last year be the first statue release. I think it should have been the R2 from this year.
Yeah.
And whenever they released R2, I'm like, oh, I really prefer this box. And then when I heard about C3PO, I was like, oh, that's even better. And they went back to the black box with it. And I really wish they didn't. I wish they went with that R2. I know it's anniversary themed, but all the more incentive to throw in an anniversary figure and give it a nice snazzy box art. Because I actually think that box art's one of the nicest and cleanest they've done since.
It is nice.
Maybe that 2019
boxes, but yeah, it is nice.
It's really nice and clean.
No, it's a really good point. I honestly didn't even pick up on the fact that the box arts were completely different.
Well, as we're talking about that, obviously you know what I saw of the Floridian set, but the box is awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that blue is quite striking, isn't it? So
It's got the I don't know what it's called now, the Star Destroyer, but his Star Destroyer. It's got it at the top and then coming down on the box.
Yeah, like I'm normally someone who like I get a cardboard box and it's like, right, I'm going to use this to light my fire the next day. But I've only ever kept the anniversary boxes from 2019. Like,
yeah,
Well, I normally open my boxes and the cat gets in it. There you go.
no. But yeah, those black boxes, and I don't know, just I could go
Yeah.
on and on, but
it is
They
hard.
were nice. They were nice when they came out, but it's dried up a bit.
overstayed, especially when you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure like you guys have more local Lego stores than I do, but anytime I go in, it's just, and also because it's across multiple waves and themes as well. It feels quite like. I don't know.
It's definitely a bit overplayed, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just briefly want to full screen myself and show something because I just want an opinion. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see this as clearly as I'd like, but
Oh hell yeah!
now, do you see this? Obviously, poster came out May the 1st, and you can see there. Now, to me, that's flesh colored. I mean,
Looks
the
like
picture
yeah.
doesn't do
It
it
does,
justice.
but it does from here. It looks.
And I'm comparing it to other figures on this. The only problem is there aren't any of the yellow flash figures on here. Everything is either like an alien color, black as in black skinned, or an alien themselves.
I don't know what anyone else thinks, but what would you have thought if they brought it out and you had the two heads, the yellow head and a flesh head?
Well, this is what I thought was strange about it, because the other thing that was on here on May the 1st.
Yeah.
So I picked up on that in one of my first YouTube videos and mentioned it briefly in there because it's strange, but there aren't. The only other yellow head character is Qui-Gon Jinn, and you can tell by the type of mustache and everything he's got and the type of face he's got. That's the older version, but it
Also,
does
that
actually
Luke
look
as
yellow.
well. That Bespin Luke underneath Amidala is that's quite similar to the Cloud City.
I think that is supposed to be. See, to me that looks flesh, but was there a version of that came out with flesh?
Only recently that.
See, to me that looks flesh. It don't look yellow to me, but
yeah, maybe it could just be my eyes then. But looking at it, in person, the color of the skin of that Luke is completely different to the Qui-Gon Jinn. So to me, that suggests that this is, and I don't know this figure enough to know there's a flesh color version of that. I wouldn't have thought so because that's an old hairpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was saying that Starkiller's got the same hairpiece in black or brown, and he is definitely flesh colored because I've got that figure. So
that's
maybe
a cool poster.
Maybe
it's a real,
there is
like, good vibe of like old and new figures. Like I noticed the Kashyyyk Scout Troopers using that old.
Yeah, and they got the old Grievous. They've got the old Jabba the Hutt. They've got the new Aayla Secura. Now this is the other one that kind of pickled me because all the others are kind of, apart from what you said about this Luke, and now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking the same about this Sidious because
My icon.
that looks flesh. That's a flesh color. That's your profile picture.
Yeah,
but that's a flesh colored Sidious, and I don't think he ever came out flesh colored.
Actually,
that version of the figure, anyway.
That was one of my first ever Lego sets. It was Darth Vader and the Emperor from like 2002, and it was yellow. He was yellow toned, but they did re-release that same figure but in grey in 2005 or 6. But they've never done it in flesh.
So this poster then must be inaccurate then, because I was thinking there must be just a mistake. But yeah, the Sam Wessel as well. I mean, her face was, I know she had a dual coloured head, didn't she? So it was yellow and purple. Well, this is definitely flesh colour.
Mm-hmm.
So So this whole thing is inaccurate then, essentially, but not to want to kind of debunk it. But yeah, you're right. Because they got the Kashyyyk Scout Trooper here, but then they have got the newer version of the Scout Trooper there. Different helmet mold even for two similar figures.
Above that Scout Trooper is one of the first. The Imperials. Yeah, that what do you call them? Jar Jar. That's like one of the OG ones. But that's a bloody good, nice poster.
Yeah, I mean,
in the bottom right. Is that some gold guy? And who's that?
Bottom right. You're right on my right.
Above that logo. Oh, it's an Imperial Guard. Which...
Yeah, I think it's the color, the saturation of the colors not showing up. That's a Imperial Royal Guard. But no, it's it's an unusual piece. It was worth the points, worth using the points for. But so the other topic of conversation is going to be, and we have kind of touched on this on and off briefly throughout this. Will that pop up? I don't know whether I phrased that right, but collecting style. So I know we've touched on this briefly, but I'm just going to sort of summarize what my collecting style is, because I don't think I've ever spoke to two people the same, certainly not within Star Wars Lego. But and then it'd be nice to go around the room and see how you guys would kind of summarize your collecting style. But my collecting style is that primarily ships, primarily playset scale, and what it looks like visually. I'm mostly without figures, so I don't collect UCS. And it's not a cost thing. I've talked about this before, but it's more to do with sort of space. And I'd rather have sort of 10 smaller sets than one large set. But that's not to say that those doors are closed. But I tend not to get the smaller sets either. So I don't tend to get microfighters. I got the Captain Rex one because of the figure, if I'm honest. But I don't army build. And I don't like I didn't like the helmet series, didn't like the build of a figure series. So I'm quite, I find a way of sort of pigeonholing my collection, if you like, just to kind of save money, but also there are a couple of helmet sets, for example, I thought were great. But for me, it was one of those sort of subcategories that you either had them all or none. So I chose to go none. So my collecting style, I guess, is, to sort of summarize, is what looks good on display but won't take me forever to take apart, because the other part of my collecting style is that I rotate out my I'll never put I could never put all my sets on, even if I had a whole house to myself. Probably couldn't put all my sets out, but I prefer the idea of putting them out, and I don't really dust my sets, because when it gets to the point where the dust is kind of settling, then I'll swap them out. And I say I do now. This was when I had a space to display, which I don't presently. But so that's, and I buy to match that, if that makes sense. So I buy, and at the moment I'm buying for something that I haven't got. So effectively, I'm not doing that at the moment, but I'll buy what I feel is reasonable to sort of swap out slowly over time. And so that I'm, building a set a week on average, and then adding it to my display to the point where my display just starts getting heavy, and then I'll take out the older set that I built, take it apart, inventory it, put it away, and then sort of move things around a little bit. So my set kind of is constantly moving. My display is constantly moving. So that's, in a nutshell, my collecting style. And I'm just interested to see how you guys sort of compare. So, Matt, do you want to... what's your collecting style, mate?
Yeah. I was going to ask you though, you didn't mention brickheads.
I don't do brickheads either. No.
No, I said I wouldn't do brickheads, and then somebody bought me one, and now because then I ended up getting all the ones that I could. But mainly Star Wars will be. I'll be honest with you, it's mostly anything that is Star Wars because that's just what I grew up with and stuff. But not like certain like you said, like the helmets. No, I haven't bothered with them. With other sets, it's basically whatever catches my eye. Like obviously the Ribbon Down, absolutely gorgeous for display. And then just generally other sets that I enjoy, that that I might like the films and that. So the Indiana Jones sets, I've got them because Indiana Jones and Star Wars to me just pair up. But yeah, just mainly things that will catch my eye. And it looks nice on display. But like you said, I mean, I'm a bit different because I try and display all my stuff, and the biggest thing is space. And I did say at one time I wasn't going to get any UCS sets, but then like when the land speeder went to 150 quid, I was like, well, yeah, I'm having that. And it was double points that weekend as well. So I think when it comes to Star Wars, I don't really have, unless it's a really bad, well, what I assume is to be a bad set, like the Droids one, for example. I mean, it's great for kids and stuff, don't get me wrong, because Lego is a toy at the end of the day. But for me, no. But yeah, just anything really that catches my eye, really, and if I can afford it and if I can display it.
Would it be safe to call you like? I think I would sort of generalize that as a window shopper. So you just, you don't pigeonhole what your collection. You just what you like, basically. Which I mean, we should all be like that, but you don't kind of give yourself any limitations in general.
Not really. Not when it comes to Star Wars. But like I said, I have bought some other. Like I bought the Disney camera because I just thought it looked really nice on display. But mainly I just try and stick with Star Wars. And unless it's something that really doesn't interest me, then because I will say there was like I said, there was a set that I wasn't really thinking about getting, but it went down to I think £19. And I bought that before I came here.
Yeah.
Mainly for oh god, get glasses on.
The light bulb.
For Kellen and Beck.
Yeah, the lamppost battle pack.
No, not the lamppost. That was the second reason. So just generally Star Wars stuff. I'll get it. Unless it's something that I really, like I said, like the helmets. Unless I want to buy, when they bring out these sub things. Unless I want to get the whole collection, I won't really bother. So I've started collecting the mini scale. So I think the only one is now is a Tantive that I've got again. But originally I wasn't going to, but then that started Super Star Destroyers with. And what surprised me, I was like, oh god, another Millennium. No, I'm not going to get Millennium Falcon. No, I'm glad I did. It's quite a nice little set, actually, to be honest. So. No, I haven't got much prequel stuff. I did quite like the home as well. I thought, so I thought, I'll collect the mini scale. But yeah, that's it. Really.
I'm probably most excited of my backlog. I'm most excited to build the midi scale because that is. If they did more of those, if they were doing say 10 a year of those, that would be probably most of my collection in terms of I would push other things aside to just collect those. Because to me, that is like almost like a scaled down.
Do you think they should have a mini? Do you think they should have a figure with it though? There's a question.
I think it wouldn't go amiss. I don't,
All my the ones I've made. Because obviously they actually have places to put figures, which really I find weird. So I actually do. Like, for example, my Millennium Falcon, I have Han Solo. the Super Destroyer is like got Darth Vader. So yeah, I got a figure because that's why they got the spaces there. It's weird.
Yeah. And I was just about to say that comes under sort of the banner of what your collecting style is as well. Because are you one of these people who is a purist and you display your sets as they are? Do you customize them? Or I mean, that is a customization. For want of a better term.
I'm never good at mocks and stuff, but I will sometimes think, if I get a set and I might think, oh, I'll just add that and make it look a bit nicer.
No,
it's like the MIDI scale. Just behind the cockpit, there's quite a gap, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So they say, but I've found a piece that fits in there perfectly, so there's no gap.
Yeah.
But only slight things. I don't. Yeah, mainly curious, but I will change a few things if it makes it look nicer.
Yeah, well, I do mock and I do color swaps and I do build from scratch in terms of like building a set, parting out a set, and I do sort of moderations to things, but that only makes up probably 10% of my collection. But yeah, so what about yourself then, Slippy? How would you generalize your collecting style?
If it's just focused on Star Wars, or
Star Wars Lego for now. But...
Yeah, because my favorite Lego set that I've ever had is recent. It's the Galaxy Explorer, the 2022, and it's like I don't think any Star Wars ship can compare to it. But I'm typically, despite my age, I'm definitely more of an OT guy. That's the films I grew up watching actually a lot. So I'm kind of like yourself. I can appreciate the helmets, dioramas, MIDI scales. And even the brickheads too, but I kind of just like don't really. I'm like yourself. If I have to buy one, I would need the rest to fill it out. But if I like the film and I like the sets, then that's an incentive. Like while the prequels were released growing up, I don't really like them as much. I say that, and I got a box of boys yesterday, but that's for the culture. And also it helps that
the prequels now as I got older. I didn't when they first came out, but I do appreciate it. And especially since the sequels came out.
Yeah, I mean, also like the fan base too. At the time, there's a nice divide that it was like tug of war, but not like I like to have my sets on display for a while and then I dismantle them. And I'm the kind of guy too where if I buy a Lego set and it's like I have no intention of keeping this displayed. Like for instance, I got the Boba Fett's palace recently. I had that displayed for a day or two, and then I dismantled it because it's like I need these pieces for a mock.
Right.
I'm that kind of guy. Like it's like red. This is a set I bought maybe on discount, or I like it. Then I build them. I don't really like how it looks. I'll dismantle it, but I know I'm going to use those pieces. I've been trying to get back into mocking again.
Right.
And also space is an issue as well.
You just brought up Robert's palace.
Yeah.
I have to say that is one set that it's behind me that I bought, and then I found somebody had and it's instructions and that, and I actually turned it into jabbers. So that is one set that I have quite changed.
I was tempted to because of the roof and all, and there is one part of that set that I didn't dismantle, and it's the throne because I think that throne is such a cool wee piece. You could just flick. I have it right beside me with a random city alien figure, and I could just flick him off. But not most of the sets I have. I only have a few Star Wars sets on display. The rest are all from the 20 years of building. It's all in my Lego bins and my minifigure boxes. Like I just like to recycle it.
Right. So
yeah.
Similar to myself.
Surrounded with sets.
The only sets that and I was quite not opposed, but I like play sets more. I like the idea of them, but the dioramas, the free OT ones that I have two OT ones. It's the Trash Compactor and Jedi Training, and I do want to get the Emperor's Throne Room because, funny enough, those three scenes are like my favorite scenes from. Well, particularly the Emperor's Throne Room is my favorite scene in Star Wars. But they're like mocks to me. Those ones they're like this doesn't feel like a Lego set. It's like someone made this. It's quite strange
Oh,
to
yeah,
put
we
into
did.
words, but
We did bring up dioramas. Yeah, I loved it. But the diorama is what got me into it, really. I mean, somebody bought me the ATAP or 8080, and then I started buying all the dioramas. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point about the dioramas, and you're right, we did miss it. But dioramas, I do like. I think they make great display sets. But I think my frustration was when the original wave came out, because the original wave was the Dagobah training, the trash compactor,
trash
and
compactor, the
and then
trench
that,
run.
and then the trench run, which was two from one movie. No, sorry, Dagobah training is from Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? But they just didn't continue that. So in the next wave they came out, it was two, wasn't it? So it was the Endor Speeder Chase and and they were
Emperors.
both, and the Emperor's Throne Room. They're both from Return of the Jedi, and they just thought they should just, it'd be nice to spread them out so you got ones from each movie. But
that should have been a diorama.
This isn't classed as that, but I put it on my diorama myself because to me it is.
Yeah,
they should have had. And we all know the quote that they should have had on that, but I don't know. It definitely like another one that isn't diorama, but to me was the it wasn't an official Lego set, but it was supposed to be the San Diego Comic Con exclusive of 2020, the Bespin Final Duel. But it's quite like that.
I'd love that set, but it's too, I would love it.
I got that somewhere still sealed.
Oh, here, Mom, sell it to us.
12th of October is my birthday. There you are.
Yeah. Well, actually, I ordered in a Facebook group I was in. A bunch of guys got together and we kind of ordered it, and it all seemed great until one of the guys, once it appeared at his house, decided to be a little bit greedy, and it all kind of went a bit pear-shaped. Eventually, I did get the set, but not without sort of between this group of guys, without it getting sort of hairy and a bit sort of threatening and all sorts. Because I think this guy basically was at the point where he was like, "Well, I've got the sets now. I'm gonna
quick buck out of it, maybe."
Yeah, it was a bit ropey there, but anyway, I ended up with the set. But yeah, I haven't touched it. But you're right. I think they were the gateway into, because I think that's exclusive, which obviously they ended up selling because obviously closed down. San Diego Comic-Con was closed down because of COVID, and then they did the chamber. And I think it was kind of a test run, just like the Executor is that it was the first version, and they thought, right, if this sells well, let's do some more. Which is why that set is slightly different, I think, or the stand is slightly different, isn't it? The Executor to the three that have come since, but no, you're right. I think, I think the dioramas are something that they're geared towards adult more than anything else, but. I just
got the
think,
pod race on yet. Though I'm waiting for a sell on that one.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Is that to me, they should have done a scenery diorama. So the pod race is very similar to a trench run, and they should have just done them as a separate thing to the actual, like the dioramas that represent a scene as opposed to a race. And to me, they're two different things. So I can't. It's hard for me to.
It's like a micro scale. Is what they were doing with that. Like you've got the micro scale trench run and pod race. Like they could almost be like a vehicle diorama, or as you say, a scene one. Like
I do like the trench run one. I mean, that's what caught my eye first of all. That one, but
that's right. Because a lot of people dismissed that one, but I always thought it looked nice.
But I wouldn't put that. Not that I've got a setup to talk about, but I wouldn't put that with the other dioramas. I'd put it next to the Naboo. The Mos Eisley race, pod race. But while we're on the subject of the pod race, I just want to show you something quick that I picked up on while I was in Cardiff the other day. Now, I champion game in terms of prices because I bought sets there at a reduced price within a week. Let's say 2 weeks for argument's sake of their release. On a reduced price, but we had the Droideka and the Naboo pod race there. So the pod race was $79.99 down to £56. and the Droidica was 65 down to 48. Now I know these came out May the 1st, but the only reason they had those two in that one and not my local one is because it's just a much bigger store. But in my local one, when did the two? It was I think it was June 1st releases. The Mandalorian based sets.
Yeah.
So the
That
ambush,
battle pack
Yeah.
and that
yeah. So they came out June the 1st, and I picked them up, I believe, the second week of June. So 2 weeks after their release, at markdown prices, similar markdown prices, percentages to that. So, to go back to what we were talking about before, if you're looking for deals, Game is the place to be, and that is really early on in their kind of life.
Well, that Mandalorian one is in Smith's for £14, $14.99.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to remember how much I ended up paying for each of them. Let me just see.
Cool. Did you say your local Game didn't have it on discount, but the bigger one did?
No, my local one didn't have those sets.
Oh, sorry.
So I think it's to do with the size of the store, because this Cardiff store had all the other sets and a lot more. So, but I'm just looking at the picture now, and the Rex's Falcon, the Rex's Y-wing was £9.
Oh my days!
I can't see the price of the others off this picture, but
yeah, there was one other thing I want to say about buying sets as well, as I do tend to leave like most of the smaller or maybe cheaper sets, so that my kids can buy them for my birthday and Christmas and things like that. Because I don't expect them to go and buy like a £100 set or whatever for me, so I tend to leave some of the cheaper ones. Or if I want to get a couple of them, like obviously I've got the Mandalorian one, but if they want to get me one as well, that's fine. And the same with the Modern Atlantic. I've got that, but if they want to get me another one, because I want to put them together anyway. So
yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good point. I do a very similar thing myself.
Sorry, Cullen, you talked upon how you don't do army building, and it's funny how like that's whenever I was growing up, like that's when they released the battle packs, and it was the tagline was "Build your army," and that's when you would see like everyone and their aunt has like 500 clone troopers or assassin droids. But it's funny, like I always wanted a giant army, and I think I maybe have like at max. Now, to be fair, Lego has a real habit of re-releasing and remaking stormtroopers, but I maybe have like 20 of like a standard stormtrooper, and I'm content with that now. Like, 15-year-old me would have wanted hundreds of them to create that, the Emperor arrival scene, but 25-year-old me is like, no, I could maybe make a cool little vignette, with just a few of them with the Emperor, but it's weird. Like, I'm sure the bug may come back again. You need more stormtroopers or clones, but it's like I think I'm content now too. And
it's funny enough that I had no intention of them, but I think we're buying all different sets and stuff. I think most of the not the same, but the sort of is Mandalorians. I seem to have loads of Mandalorians. I think I've got more Mandalorians than I have stormtroopers or clones.
I think for me, it's more to do with the fact that I'm not a huge figures guy.
No, sets always come first for me, but obviously, if the figures come with it, then they come with it.
So for example, I bought a couple of. I think I ended up with about 3 sets of the 501st battle pack when it came out, or super battle pack, whatever you want to call it. I built one. The other one I opened, and I've used those pieces to start a mock, which I've been documenting on Instagram, and I haven't got very far with it recently. But I think, and then those kind of figures kind of almost go by the wayside. So for me, I don't know, it's a bit of a strange situation, because I do like, again, it comes back to the FOMO thing. I see these people with these large armies, and I think, I'd like to have something like that. But in reality, I couldn't sit there and say, right, I'm going to buy another one of these when there's 2 more sets on the shelf that I don't have. whether I want them or not, kind of thing. So I just want to briefly go into the chat, just because I'm conscious of the fact that we've kind of ignored it for a while, or at least I have. Where Muttley said, "I've been doing this a long time now to buy anything I don't like. I've been doing it too long now to buy anything I don't like, as now I'm building the ones I do like. I buy a lot of." So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, doing it too long to buy. So yeah, I've had that experience of learning from like, why did I even bother buying this? My dislike is very similar to you, Cool Hand Luke. I agree with Cool Hand. Play sets over display sets. Despite my age, I'm also an OT fan. I don't actually know how old Oaktown is. He did tell me before, but I believe he's around about 18, 19. The Emperor's Throne Room is also my favorite scene from Star Wars. Yeah, it is. It is I think they've picked the right scenes to have as dioramas. I mean, it's kind of endless, really, but they picked the right scenes. I think it was more about the way they grouped them together, which I really, because
Each wave should have had like a focus. I think, like maybe a New Hope wave, Empire, Return of the Jedi, or
and to do some over some of the other movies as well. I mean,
we need another prequel one.
To be honest with you, if they pick the right scenario, and I'm not trying to think of one now, but if they pick the right diorama, the right scene, I'd even buy one from the sequel trilogy.
Because at the moment you've got two for Jedi, two for if you include that one I said, two for Empire, two for Star Wars. So we need another one for the prequels.
Yeah, I think, and I hope. I do like Revenge of the Sith, but I really hope that they don't make Palpatine's arrested diorama, because that will be scrutinized.
No, I want that as a nice big set, to be honest with you.
That original play set was like fantastic, but I have a feeling that they may just, here's an 80-pound diorama, Mace Windu with one hand, Anakin and Palpatine. We're only going to give you one Palpatine, not the changed one. But
so you don't think they're going to do a Mustafar one then?
I think they should do that.
Too obvious, because everyone says that, doesn't they? So
yeah. But I mean, like, they can't go wrong with it. Like that is a great quote from that scene and film too. Like, "You're my brother, Anakin." Like, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But or just him saying, "I hate you."
Hi, Brickflix. Thanks for joining us. Sorry I didn't read your message sooner. Got a little bit caught up talking about Lego. 25% off UCS X-Wing at the moment at Argos. Ooh. Good look out for anybody interested. Oaktown confirms he's 18. Sorry, Oaktown, I don't know why that was relevant for me to say that. I think the point I was trying to allude to is the fact that it's great to see OT fans of people who haven't even been around. In your case, haven't even been around since the prequel trilogy was out, if that makes sense. So you're going sort of way back, if you like. I mean, so
I wonder if his parents were into it, though. I wonder if that's what maybe.
Could be. I mean, I think the main reason I got into Star Wars is because when I went to my grandparents' house, they had them on Betamax, and
Betamax,
and just to I wouldn't say to shut me up, because I wasn't a particularly loud child, but I think just to kind of keep me busy, they put the telly up with a film when I went over to my grandparents' house, and I'd be sat there glued to it because I thought it was fantastic. And
for some of the younger viewers, you might need to explain what Betamax was.
Okay, so there was a bit of rivalry back in the late 70s, early 80s.
They were smaller. They were better.
Yeah, between three separate companies who were trying to compete for the next form of media in which to release movies. The three companies in question were Betamax, Philips 2000, and VHS.
See, I didn't know about the Philips one. That's new to me.
Yeah, and the person who conquered overall was obviously VHS. Philips 2000 pretty much didn't get out of the water. They were a little bit like MP3. or not MP3, mini disc that came out in the sort of late 90s.
Do you remember when they tried to bring out laser discs? They didn't last so long.
What a mess.
But a couple of little fads like that. So Philips was more like that. The only difference is these guys were all competing at the same time. And VHS obviously conquered because I think they were more robust. I don't actually remember what Betamax looked like. It didn't look much different to a VHS. I know
they were exactly the same, but they were shorter, smaller. They were, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the players. I don't really remember the cassettes.
Yeah, the cassettes were just basically the same, but slightly smaller. So
yeah, they look a lot smaller too.
Store.
Yeah,
they were probably about 2 inches shorter, something like that.
Okay.
I think lengthwise.
But
I don't know exactly that. But that's a good question of how you got into it. How did you get into Star Wars, Slurpee?
Oh, well, see, I'm 25, and I remember they must have re-released the original trilogy on VHS in the late 2000s, or not late 2000s, late 90s. I think it's a special edition, because I cannot find my A New Hope or my dad's A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, but I do have Empire up in my little shrine. But yeah, that's how it was. I had those three and the Phantom Menace on VHS, and yeah, just watching them as a kid. And it's quite boring, really. But it's just it's 5 or 6, just watching them like any kid, and the Lego sets too. But I remember I never watched Attack of the Clones for the longest time, but I remember the hype for Revenge of the Sith being insane, and I think that was 2005. And I remember it being released to Sky Cinema at Christmas, and we had to we had to call up on the phone to rent it. And because my uncle had gotten me the Arc 170 for Christmas, and I was like, this is an amazing ship. I don't know what it's from. Because I hadn't seen the film. But no, I mean, it's just
right, yeah.
And also I'm at that age too where I'm not young, where Lego and Star Wars are so intertwined for me. It's almost been like I know people who have never watched Star Wars, but they know it because of the Lego video games or the Lego sets. I love the sets and I love the games. I find the films boring, and I'm like, what? But everyone consumes it differently.
See, I'm the opposite. I've been a Star Wars fan for God knows how long. It wasn't until 2021 I actually got into the Lego Star Wars. So, but as in the films, I'll show my age now. I was when did it come out? Did it come out in May originally?
Yeah, it's May.
Yeah, so I was 8. And I have to admit, it was mainly to do with the toys. I was at the right age. These films came out. The toys were awesome. That was it. And it's always stuff.
Yeah, that original Kenner line.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
I have a few. Don't worry.
It's quite interesting the point you made there, Slurpee, and I guess Martin as well, is that your recognition of Star Wars and how it linked into, merchandise at the time. Because I was the same as yourself, Martin, although a little bit younger. But for me, it was the figures. Obviously, I watched the films.
Yeah.
And then obviously my parents were like, you haven't stopped watching.
Rush, wasn't there? They didn't expect it. And they even did a pre-thing, didn't they? Like, oh, you get this, and then you give it in a couple of months' time, and you get the...
That's right, yeah. I mean,
Lucas, he was the one, he got paid, I don't know, he got paid a lump sum, didn't he? Like, he said, can I have the rights for the toy? And they went, yeah, of course you can, because bloody hell, that's the best decision you ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was too young to I was certainly not shopping or spending pocket money at that time because, I was very young. I was born in 1980, so I was I didn't get to see him in the cinema, but I did watch him. Yeah, late 80s. And again, the figure line was massive then, but it was kind of on the back end of it. So it was kind of burning out at the point that I was, which was good for me because we used to go to stores and see buckets
but then in 83 it went back up again because of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about at the time where I was kind of old enough to kind of be asking for them and in the shops and seeing them myself, like I was out of a pushchair kind of thing. So I was sort of would have been 5 or 6 in like 85, 86, where it started to die out a little bit. There was no new film or whatever. The trilogy was over. And we started seeing, I remember seeing buckets of these, huge bins of these Lego figures, and the carded Lego figures just kind of thrown in and just all mixed up. And my mum would be like, right, you can have one. And I'd be right, digging through and and they were, I think they were about probably 179 or something like that, which was reduced because they were probably, I don't know, £3 or whatever when they came out at that point, or whatever it was. It was ridiculously cheap, but a lot cheaper than they would have been. And I remember there was some stores local to me who, because they had so many of these kind of figures where they mass produced them, and then of course the thing had died out and it sold off. This one store around the corner from me, actually a couple of stores, had actually ripped them out of the packaging. So they were brand new, but they pulled them out of the packaging just to kind of put them all in this big basket, because the kids were going through and trying to dig through and find them and just damaging the packaging. So they thought, we'll just pull them all out and put them in loose and they can buy them. And I remember looking at them thinking, that's strange, because this is like, no store would do that these days, but it was almost because it was easier for them to just kind of chuck them all in a big box. I mean, it was probably the version of reduced to clear or reduced to clear bin back then. So they just kind of pulled them out. So I remember buying a lot of my figures new, but without a box. So those are the days I remember. But yeah, strange for you to be, well, not strange, but unusual when you said about the fact that, for you, watching Lego and Lego Star Wars was the same thing. Whereas for me, it's like it was such a huge gap between those two things.
Same to me, massive. Like I said, I only got into the Lego like 21, so
yeah. Well, I remember buying my first Lego Star Wars set in actually 1999, and I was an adult at that point. But I was collecting something very different at the time. I was collecting the Power of the Force line. So I kind of bought one Lego set. I don't think I ever built it, and it kind of went in the collection of other things at the time, and that was it. But
you still have it?
I do, but I have actually opened it and built it now. So it was
what was it?
It was the it wasn't called the Vulture Droid, because it was called something else, called like a Separatist droid fighter or something like that. The original one, the brown and tan one, which is a bit of a weird choice of color. But it was that set, and I think I got it for £5 at Toys R Us, which is probably about normal price at the time. So. I just kind of went into the collection along with loads of other things at the time, and then I started moving around, moving house, and sort of 13 houses later, I sort of decided to start digging through my old collection and found it. So I kept that and sold everything else, as it happens. So,
God, those Power of the Force figures, like I think I might have mentioned last week on your stream, but like I went to like local Comic Cons and eBay, and like they still sell them because they made so many of them. They still sell for somewhat retail or even below what it was in the 90s. That like it's like you have to pay to get rid of them. Like they made that many of them.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, that's a separate stream altogether. Because I could talk about that for hours. But you're right. That it just didn't work because again, people had just kind of got too carried away with it. And I could see Martin looking around to see if he's got a Power of Force figure somewhere.
Where they had the sabers inside the arms.
That's right. Yeah, I did actually have that figure as well.
But as you know, you've probably seen the video where he sits inside the old land speeder.
Yeah, I did see that video. Yeah. No, that's good. Okay, so discussion. I know. Obviously, the time I didn't plan to go any more than 2 hours, but like obviously, I've got.
And I've only got 15% left on my battery, so.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna go into too much detail on this because maybe we keep it the next time. I honestly didn't think that those two subjects were going to take up over 2 hours, but so thanks guys for sticking with me.
By when you're having fun.
Yes, thanks for sticking with me as long as you have, though, guys, and being patient. But and anybody in chat, same. But obviously, if anybody needs to go, then 100% understand. Just let me know. But yeah, just briefly, Brick Wall 25. So. My situation has changed very slightly.
Ooh.
And I may be able to come along. Now, I'm not going to put it on record out there because there are some limitations for me because I'm getting married next year. Well, that's the plan anyway. And that obviously becomes before anything else. But my partner, long story short, we don't want a huge over-the-top wedding. That was never on the cards anyway, but we've decided that we'd rather something smaller, a bit more intimate, and I'm not a huge party drinking type guy, certainly not now, but I have been, trust me. But my partner basically wants to go on a little holiday. She wants to go to Disneyland Paris for a sort of hen with a small group of friends, as opposed to having this kind of, woolly strollers and all that kind of malarkey that bridal parties normally do. So the toss-up is that she can do that if I get to go to Brickworld, but it would also be my stag, classed as my stag party, or instead of, because I wouldn't expect to go out there and celebrate my stag. But
no pressure, Ryan. For someone to share a room would be cheapest.
Say it again, sorry.
Is it no pressure? But I am looking for someone to share a room with because it's expensive.
Yeah, my intention, because I know you had said from the beginning that you were going to be going, my intention was always to kind of room up with yourself. And I'll be honest, I think initially if I was able to go from the start, I probably would have boarded up with Padawan, but he had other plans, which is fair enough. Because I wasn't going anyway. So, but
well, I got my passport today, so that's definite. Now,
but yeah, I mean,
88 quid for a bleeding passport.
Well, actually, the Irish one.
Sorry, £88.50.
Now you say that, I think I probably need to check my passport as well. But yeah, I was always going to reach out to you, mate, if my situation changed.
I was trying to get Muttley to come as well, but he said he was too old, but he's younger than me.
Right. Well, look, this is the situation at the moment, is that it's not 100%, far from it, but it's yes,
but it's loosely on the cards.
Before this most recent conversation with my fiance, it was 0, so it's definitely more than that now. So I won't say how much, but I'd say probably around about 30%. So the toss-up is that if I do have something local with my friends who probably do want to go out and take me for a drink, it will just be sort of around the local pub. So, and I won't probably put my hand in my pocket, so there's no cost involved there. But it was between that and going on taking my group of my friends to somewhere in the UK or over to like Amsterdam, and I just thought, you know what? Or something like that. And I just thought, it's not really my scene. I don't drink at the moment, so I just thought I'd much rather the money go there and enjoy that. And yeah, like I said, if depending on what happens, maybe I'll drop a hint before I get there that it is actually classed as my stag as well, and you never know what will happen. But so if it happens, we'll sort it out. But do you know when the tickets go on sale?
No, not really. I mean, the problem is, I think it's somewhere like around about October, isn't it? Something like that.
I thought it was August.
Or is it August? Is it August?
Yeah. I just remember ACOB talking that I think it's very soon actually.
I know it's August, but this wasn't sure the date.
A bit later, wasn't it? I'm sure it was last year.
It was January last year, wasn't
it? It was. I think the demand was so high that they were like, yeah, let's get them out earlier. But
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm hoping. I was hoping that Padawan was going to sort things out, but obviously he's doing other things because I'm not very good at it, and I am panicking already about. Oh God, I've got to make sure I get the plane tickets and make sure I get the hotel. Make sure so.
Well, if I do end up going, I'm more than happy to try and help organise things because I've actually planned trips to America on my own before. So,
well, I mean, first of all, what I'm going to do is obviously I will book my hotel room, and then if anyone then wants to, then they can give me the money, can't they? But it's going to be paid for first, because obviously I'm going to go. I'm going whether. Whether I'm on my own or not, but I would prefer if somebody shared because it's just cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Well, just out of curiosity, before we kind of exclude anybody, Slurpee, are you planning to go at all?
So, I don't want to be getting too much into my private life, but I've been fortunate enough to kind of go over to the United States maybe once or twice a year. I know something I was talking to someone about, maybe potentially next year, maybe going over to Brickworld Chicago. If I were to go, I don't think I would go for the whole week. I would maybe do 2 private days. I'm not great with large crowds, and I've seen the vlogs from the public days, and I feel like it's I could pass it, but I'm still on the fence about it. Like I'm maybe 50-50 about it. I do intend on being in the United States around that time, middle of June, but I do want to go, especially because at least in the Lego community, like there's a lot more hype around it now than there ever has been, because Brickworld's been around for over a decade, and I don't remember it being at the way it is right now. And I'm sure we've all seen the videos and the podcasts around it, and like the community aspect as well. Also, I love mocks as well, and the community aspect
is to meet everybody and stuff. Yeah, so
and it's like I'm 50-50 on it. I really am. Like I do want to go, but I don't think I would go for the whole week. And then it's like FOMO kicks in. What if I should be there the whole week? But I don't know. I'm still 50-50 on it right now. But
well, I think you make a good point about the public days, because although I did watch a lot of the coverage from that period of time, we're kind of seeing it almost from a bird's eye view when you're looking at it from the point of because they're not sort of seeing everything, and they're not, they're not public essentially, are they? So, and also if you've got the lay of the land already when the place is being quieter, then it's not as overwhelming when you're there on the busier days. But for that same reason, my thought was, well, if I can be the same from time to time, my thought was like, well, no, I'll just avoid that time and I'll just kind of, go back to the room or use that as an opportunity to go and do other things. But then I think, well, no, you're paying to be there for those days, so you kind of want to get involved in all of that. So
and it's when they do the garage sale, isn't it? Is it whatever? Or the garage sale.
If I'm honest, I don't
And I know to say that because Brent was taking the nick out of the way we were saying it. So
no, but I understand what you're saying in terms of it is very strange. I don't fully understand the difference, if I'm honest with you, but yeah, it's worth you having it's worth you looking into it and letting us know, because if we get a chance to travel together, even better. But
it's definitely because it's my girlfriend lives in the United States, and it would be something maybe if I were to fly over for a trip, like she's expressed maybe visiting Chicago. I'm very aware that she's not into Lego like I am, so I wouldn't want to be parading her around for days on end. I'd be, she has to put up with enough of my crap anyway, so it's like, right. But let me look at a couple of Star Wars mocks and space mocks. But
yeah,
I know you brought up the point of the garage sale. Like I actually went to there's a Lego Irish convention recently down in Dublin called Brickfila, and I wouldn't really be the kind of guy to go to conventions anyway to buy stuff. And if it is, it's maybe small trinkets. Like, I could fit this in like a pencil case, like custom bricks or minifigs. I don't think I get the appeal of, wheeling and dealing for like an old set, but I think I'm kind of content enough for me personally. Like, there only is one
I'm
set that
I'm looking for a particular set, and I think Sean got one last year.
Thanks, Muttley. Cheers, mate. Good night.
Oh, night, Muttley.
Sorry.
Muttley, save that for.
Well, he says next year, but it is next year we're talking about. So does he mean the following year?
I don't know.
Because we're talking in 2025. So I assume he means the next year as opposed to next year.
So I'm looking for. I don't think I'll get it, but the one set that I really, really want is my big white whale, and that is the Christmas X-Wing. I'll put it down record. I'll do anything for that set. Well, maybe.
Do you guys think the hype, like there's been so much hype for Brickworld, and I personally would like to go to Brick Fair, Virginia, but Do you think the hype will be there next year as well, and the years after it, or?
I think it will definitely next year. I think, yeah, because there's quite a few of us going over as well. I think so.
Yeah,
but I don't know. But
I've considered what you just mentioned as well a little bit in terms of you said about going over with your partner, and because when I first mentioned going, when the idea first came up, long before we talked about it being a sort of opportunity for a stag or whatever. But when I first talked about it, my girlfriend was like, "Well, I'd like to go to Chicago as well, so maybe we'll go together." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but you got to understand, I'm going to be at." Oh, she said, "Well, yeah, but when that finishes every day, we'll go and I said, "Yes, it's not that kind of thing."
Finish, does it?
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, right."
24 hours.
He said, "Well, if you go on your own, I don't have a problem with you going on your own, but it's just unfair that you're going to get to see the sights and sounds of Chicago." And I said, "Yeah, I won't be doing that either." She went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, the place, the event I'm going to just happens to be in Chicago. I'm not going to Chicago and I'm visiting an event while I'm there. It's the other way around. You know, I'm a visiting Brick World. It could be in Antarctica. So it's all kind of irrelevant what's outside those doors." So when I explained it to her, she was like, "Oh, well, that seems kind of pointless." She said, "So you're going all that?" And I said, "Well, I said the same as what you guys have said a little bit in that, you know, apart from smaller bits and maybe some sig figs and some, you know, some not even Lego, but brick world merchandise type things, pin badges, that kind of thing. Apart from stuff like that, I'm not planning to buy big sets. If I find a white whale or a set that I have been after at a good price, I probably will. But again, once you take into account VAT and conversion rates, the chances are it probably won't be that much better than you
taking the
get here
damn thing back home.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got to take it home. And for me, and then I just think to myself, well, hang about. And she said, well, hang about. If you're not going there to like buy Lego sets, you're not going there to display, you're not going to be like podcasting or any of the things that these other people do or presenting. So you just basically go in there to just hang around and see other people. You can do that from here. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. When you think about it, it doesn't really kind of make sense. But it is. I did say to her, like, I don't go out and socialize with people on a daily basis. I don't go down the pub. I don't have any other kind of hobbies that are kind of see me leaving the house or into any sports and things like that. So for me, this is, you know, maybe once in a lifetime or once a year at the very most, an opportunity to go out and you know, mingle with people who are come from the same background as me and in the same community as me. I said, and if that's all it is, and that's all I come away with, then I'll be happy and it'll be worth the money. And she's like, well, if you put it like that, then fair enough. But she doesn't understand that. So
also, there is Lego conventions in the UK. I know the biggest one would be like Brick Fantastic, I believe is what it's called. Or I was talking to the guy from Brickset, Hugh. He recommended the one in Manchester. Yes, Brick, but the Americans just kind of go all out with it.
Yeah.
Like there's something about like Brick Fair and Brick World where it's like, yeah, like it seems to be like a pilgrimage from all over the world.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I attended Brickfest Cardiff last year, and this was before I'd seen a few of the vlogs and things, but I wasn't as quite in depth with the community for Brick World 2023. But I attended Brickfest 2023, and at that point I did go, and straight away it was like, this is nothing like it. First of all, it's not even a full day, nowhere near the scale. And nothing like it. But for what it was, for how much it cost, and for what was involved, it was, you know, worth the money. Because, you know, Brick World Chicago cost this much and you get this much, and Brickfest cost this much and you get this much. So
yeah,
in terms of scale, it was there. You know, you didn't have to buy any hotel rooms. It cost me almost nothing to get there. And, you know, as it happened, Cardiff Comic Con was on the same day at the other half of the hall. So if you had Brickfest Cardiff tickets, you could go into both. However, if you only bought Brick Cardiff Comic Con tickets, you couldn't go into the Brickfest. So what that essentially meant is that we had two events for the price of one. And of course, it being Comic Con, there was a lot of Star Wars stuff there anyway. So it was almost like.
Well, I've been to the one at Western this year and last year, and they're very small and stuff, but it's a nice day out.
Yeah, I mean,
I got it wrong.
Sorry,
it's
go
called
ahead.
It's Bricktastic, not Brick Fantastic. It's held in Manchester. That's
Yeah,
one of
I've
the
heard
sponsors.
I've never heard of it, but I haven't
No,
also really actively looked. So
Because there's
Manchester's
different
miles
types of
away from me though, so
yeah,
there's different types of Lego conventions I find in the UK. Like you've got the charity ones and then the kind of commercial ones. And I think some of them are a mix as well. Like by charity, a lot of them will be sponsored by Fairy Bricks, or proceeds would go towards them.
right.
But not is Brickfest Cardiff? Is it anything to do with Brickfest Live? Like that's the one Sean sometimes talks about on ACOB. That
Yeah, there is a Brickfest in the US as well, but I don't think there's a link. I'm not sure, but I don't think there's a link. But they do run up and down the UK, so there's probably about 40 Brickfests up and down
it's
the
quite
country.
a lot. Yeah, quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah. And the good thing, here are the positives to Brickfest, in case anybody's watching, particularly obviously if you're in the UK and you're interested in it. So, like I've already said, the ticket last year, I don't know about this year, but last year got you into both. It's very spread out. So, even though it was quite busy there, I think, in terms of numbers, it's very spread out. So, there's always plenty of space for you to go and have time to yourself and sit down and be away from the crowd. There is a nice mixture of sales, people selling, and displays. Although the displays were, I feel like there should have been a lot more displays. I think the tables were kind of very sparse. But in terms of a nice mixture, there was both. There was events going on throughout the entire day for adults and children alike. I took part in the build in a bag. So they give you a set. And it's not a set that exists, so it's something they've created.
Yeah.
And they had a little instruction book, and it was given to you in a bag, and it was kind of put in front of you. You didn't get a chance to look at the instructions, and they just kind of said, right, go. And the first person to build it won. So I won that, as it happens. Lots of practice. And I won a little sort of Batman book with a figure. So I kind of didn't do anything with that. I think I gave it to my daughter because I took her along, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. She was 10 at the time. So she thought it was pretty good. There was events for kids.
Good for younger kids. They normally have the table.
Yeah. It's definitely orientated to parents and parents with children, obviously, more than it would be a big group of blokes going there. And the reason obviously I'm supposed to be selling this for people who want to come to Brickfest Cardiff, but I think the point of us going was more to sort of meet up. But if you go in there expecting anything like Brick World, where there's going to be people streaming and there's going to be, people doing a music event and throwing out boxes of boys, that you're not going to see anything like that. So this is why I said to Padawan when he mentioned us all meeting up, I did say to him, look, just to sort of forewarn you, if we meet up, I think, at least 50% of the time we have together, it'll be us just chatting and getting together and going for something to eat or going for a drink or whatever in and around the event. But between us all, even if there's, say, 10 of us who turn up there, I think we could probably do everything there is to do within an hour. So
I was going to say the Brickfest that I've been to, and I've stretched it out on about 2 hours, and I've stretched it out though, but yeah. But obviously this year, I know that it's not worth, but I did manage to get, remember this? I managed to get this, the 20th anniversary
Obi-Wan,
Kenobi, which I didn't have. So picked him up for about a tenner, I think it was.
No, yeah, I came back with a bag full of goodies, little bits and pieces, just like we've already talked about. And I managed to get hold of a figure that I wanted. It came, I wanted to complete my Rogue One. I collected everything from Rogue One apart from a single microfighter, which had the guy in blue. I can't remember his name. And he only came in that microfighter set.
I know the one you're on about. Yeah,
I can't remember his name. He had the tash, and he had a blue X-wing kind of character. He was a captain or a general or something. But I
absolutely really liked that film. But I think by the time I got into Lego, it was all gone.
Yeah,
all retired.
Yeah, as it happened, as I was getting back into Lego, they were the sets were available. But I did buy a few. I didn't get them all, so I bought a few. But I have completed the Solo, apart from one battle pack set, and I've completed the Rogue One because they're the best two, pound for pound, waves or collections of sets that I think have ever been released, and that's another topic for another time. But I wanted to get that.
Sorry about this, but I'm going to have to wind down now. So I've got about 5% left on my battery.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Look, all I was going to say is that the guy was selling that figure. That guy was selling that figure in there, and I managed to pick that up. I know, it's crazy. We're coming into 3 hours, but what I will say about the guys selling it is they're very knowledgeable and they're open to deals.
Yeah.
People, they were literally like,
Well, I've met a few people that I've seen on YouTube and stuff. They've been like been at the Western one and stuff. So
yeah. So anybody out there watching who has the capacity to go to the Cardiff Brickfest, I think at the moment there's a kind of half plan in the.
Yeah, nothing's really been official. We're just like, yeah, we go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But
I'll be going. So.
But yeah, so I think you're right. We're coming up to 3 hours, and it'd be nice to call it a day now. But if you guys have got anything else you wanted to throw out, any shout outs, anything you wanted to add, then be my guest.
I think that's it. Just thank you very much for inviting me in. So I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, it was nice to have you, mate. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, and Slurpee, thanks for being with us as well and making it a nice little crowd.
And as soon as I finish, I will be making this.
I'm going to go and watch.
I can't keep it set and over. No, I've got to...
It's itching you.
It is.
I'm going to go and watch House of the Dragon because I'm a bit late starting it, but I started it last night and I'm hooked on it now. So I'm going to go and watch another episode of that. But so look, just a quick thank you to anybody who's watching on replay. Thanks for riding with us, and anybody who commented and joined the stream live. Thanks again. And once more, you've got Matthew McGuigan, who is also an AKA Slurpee. Head over to him. And I've just realized as I've said that we didn't play his.
Oh, we forgot
the stop. we forgot the stop motion. And I told everybody earlier in the stream to stay tuned. So they all waited to see that and didn't get it. So I've completely flopped everybody. So sorry, guys. I did genuinely forget. Like I said, I did have an original list of topics, but I lost it. So I just kind of winging it as I went. I'm trying to remember. There was probably about 3 topics we didn't cover, but I'm thankful that I didn't have them all because we probably took a lot longer to talk about each one as it is. But head over and check out his stop motion animations on his YouTube channel. You can see them all there rather than a glimpse here. And certainly for the next episode, we'll line that up. And also Martin, aka Whittakee, over on Instagram and YouTube. Give those guys a like and sub. We've talked a little bit about both their content today, so hopefully that'll be almost an advert for what it is you can find on their channel. So, but yeah, from me, Cool and Luke Bricks, and from Slurpee, and from Whittakee, thanks for joining us. Thanks for riding with us, and we'll see you in the next episode, wherever that might be.
Yeah.
But we don't have any outro. We're not posh enough to have any outro music. So, any closing thoughts, guys?
No, it's just a good range of topics. So I don't have any songs to go on the end of, but
yeah, nobody wants to hear me sing.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, thanks, guys. We'll call it that. Almost 3 hours. If Tyler was here, he'd probably be pushing me to do those extra 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But he's not. Maybe next time, though. Well, I'll put a call out to him. So. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining me, and all the best. Speak to you all soon.
Likewise, thank you so much.
Take care.
Speak to you soon.